I'd like to call the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners regular meeting August 14th, 2012 to order. And right now, if you would, if you got your cell phone on, put it on vibrate, please. And if you would, if you'd like to stand up with me, we're going to have the invocation by our legal counsel, Eugene Russell, and the Pledge of Allegiance done by Commissioner Flynn.
May we pray together. God, our Creator, we pause in this quiet moment to thank you for the blessings of this day and for the privilege to participate as citizens in self-government. We ask that you bless our efforts on behalf of the citizens of Rockingham County. Help us to gratefully remember those who have sacrificed and to recognize those who continue to serve in times of war and in times of peace, to preserve the liberty and security we enjoy as a nation. Bless this board, O Father, as it meets. Lead it in each decision that is made. Guide it in each program that is carried out. Direct us all as we face difficulties in the days ahead. May we pledge ourselves anew to be better servants, to walk more closely in your paths, to show concern and caring for others. Father, may our words, our thoughts, and our deeds be always pleasing in your sight. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. We do have a fairly lengthy agenda, so and we have some things that have to be on at a certain time. So we may have to do some jumping, but that's not nothing we haven't done before. At this time, Commissioners, you have before you the agenda for tonight, and we do have one item that fell a little late. It's a piece that came under new business that we'd have to add. The item 16 that's on your hand, well, it's not your handout, it's what was given to you when you came in tonight. But other than that, is there any discussion about the agenda for tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for approval.
A motion made by Commissioner Callum, second by Commissioner Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed likewise. All right, at this time, I'll call on Dr. Mabel Scott and Mark Wells. They got a couple of recognitions they'd like to do. And if the board would, if you'd like to join me down here, we'll assist them.
Okay, well, welcome tonight to this Commissioners meeting where we are taking an opportunity to celebrate and thank those county departments that gave so much of themselves last year during the United Way campaign. It was a very exciting year. We had a record-breaking year, going up, I believe it was around 18% last year. And we're going to tonight provide some awards to those departments that really went above and beyond, while also launching next year's campaign. During this process, though, we also have an exciting new announcement for Rockingham County as a whole, in that we have a new United Way Executive Director, Dr. Cindy Sorrowby. And she's here tonight to hand out those awards, but also introduce that new campaign. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Sorrowby up to the podium.
Thank you, Mark. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to serve as Executive Director of United Way for Rockingham County this year. I'm from Rockingham County. I'm a Reedsville native. I live in the Bethany area. My daughter goes to Bethany Elementary School. I'm from a family of teachers and in Rockingham County. I think everyone in my family, including cousins, aunts, and uncles, live in Rockingham County except for my sister who lives in Rome. I have 15 years education experience teaching in Rockingham County, 10 of those being at Rockingham Community College. And I welcome the opportunity to come back to Rockingham County and meet the needs and serve the citizens here by identifying the needs and focusing on raising the money to go out and meet those needs. I'd like to, first of all, tell you that the campaign this year is going to kick off on August 23rd at Rockingham Community College at the upstairs Wentworth Student Center at 8 o'clock in the morning. We would love for any and all of you to participate in that kickoff. We're going to have agencies upstairs, so you'll learn more about what the agencies do. I don't know if many of you know this, but 98% of the dollars raised for United Way stay in Rockingham County. So you can be assured that if you donate your money to Rockingham County United Way, 98% of that money is going to stay and be given back out to one of the agencies. So if you want to learn about different services that the agencies provide, please join the kickoff on August 23rd. But one of the main highlights, and they told me to be short and sweet, and I'm going to be short and sweet here. One of the main highlights I wanted to tell you is we have a company here in Rockingham County, Williams Transco Gas Company, that is hosting a golf tournament on October 5th. And they are willing to double and match. They're willing to match the amount of money raised between August 20th and October 5th for United Way. They will meet dollar for dollar the amount of money raised up to $5,000. Now this does not include payroll deduction. You need to write a check for Williams United Way and they will match up to $5,000 per individual, any money coming into United Way between August 20th to October 5th. So if you have a campaign, if you're used to contributing, if you're a loyal contributor, we need your support. We need to go back and be able to meet the needs of Rockingham County. So if you can consider giving during this time frame, if you need more information, you can contact our office at United Way at 342-7768. But this is a time tonight to thank you for your contributions and recognize the county agencies and employees for their contributions for the last campaign year. We have several awards we'd like to give out, and if we call your name, if you can come up to present, accept this award. The Rockingham County Information Technology Center. It is Rockingham County Information Technology Department.
Sure. Technology savvy.
Thank you. Rockingham County Personnel and Purchasing Department. Thank you. The Rockingham County Finance Department. Rockingham County Legal Department. Rockingham County Public Information Department. Rockingham Schools Maintenance Department.
Jack of all trades. They hired me for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Rockingham County Veteran Services. That's the other hat that you're wearing.
The other guy. Thank you very much. First time I've got one.
Rockingham County Geographic Information. You want to just stay up here this time?
I'll just stay up here like that.
Rockingham County Board of Commissioners.
Holy cow.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not wearing that hat.
Rockingham County Cooperative Extension Service. Rockingham County Business and Technology Center. Thank you all for your generous support to United Way, and we hope we can join forces to make it even a better campaign this year for 2012. Thank you.
Doc, you ain't got nowhere you want. You get one.
Oh, I do. Okay.
From the commissioners, staff, and management of Rockingham County, I'd like to give you this pin
Thank
to
you.
wear during your endeavors.
Thank you so much. I look forward to it. Well, I thought there was one. I got one more.
There's one more. We certainly want to thank you for all of your support last year. And this year we have a new co-chair. Ta-da! Adam Lindsay.
So, I'm Adam Lindsay. I work for the county too, and I get the privilege of working with Mabel on this year's United Way campaign. And I just want to say what an honor and privilege it is to be part of this effort. Last year was just a tremendous success. We had a lot of fun, a lot of jailbirds, a lot of intrigue behind that. And for those in the audience who don't remember, the big initiative was to put or keep someone out of jail that works for the county, and it was a lot of fun. The employees really got behind it, and there was some last-minute jockeying of positions, and it was a tremendous success. And we owe a lot of that success to the support from the county commissioners who are standing behind me right now, and obviously to the county management as well for their support and allowing us to do some of this for this county. Of course, it's exciting to be part of this. We are looking forward to this upcoming year's contributions and activities. Of course, United Way is all about raising money for us right here in Rockingham County, helping so many great programs and so many needs that exist in this county. And it's just looking forward to the kicking off this campaign later this month, and then with the county staff. So thank you to everyone in advance for your support, and I hope you're in for a fun ride this year.
Thank you, Adam. We'd like to ask Juanita Hilton, the Office Support Services Supervisor with the Department of Social Services. Will you stand? We want to thank you and the Code Enforcement Officer, Tinker Woods, for helping us with the 2012-2013 kickoff, which you are about to see. And Brenda, since you're dressed in your bow tie, I think you may want to come back up. You and Mark. We wanted to let people know we were very serious about United Way. There are so many people in this county who need support and help, and we need to get as many monies and dollars as we possibly can. So when you see us this year, we're going to be walking around in these bow ties and white shirts and blouses and black bow ties. And now we'd like to present to you the new spokesperson for the Rockingham County Governmental United Way Campaign 2012-2013. Presenting! This is Rocky.
That's a good-looking crowd up there. You know, we are so proud that y'all did all this year to dedicate your time and so forth. I tell you, it's just so much appreciated. And I tell you what, hey, all y'all people up there, hey, ain't y'all happy? Hey, are we going to make some money this year for the United Way? Hey, we can't do it alone. We need your help, okay? Starting with you people up there, too. We will need your help and your support. Okay, turn it back over to you.
Rocky, will you come forward? Chairman Mabe has something for you.
Also on the awards and all that we're going to give tonight, and really appreciate what Mabel and Mark and all have done for the United Way and what they're continuing to, especially Adam too. But this award is for a certificate of achievement for the excellence in financial reporting presented to Rockingham County, North Carolina. And this goes to the entire department, because it's not just one person that makes the award, because there's a lot of things that go on in the finance department. She does a great job and looking after the finance department. There's a lot of others in there that contribute to the success of the finance department, and they keep the people's money straight. And so, with that said, if you would, it's a pleasure to present this to your entire department. You'll come around. Sticky note off. Thank you all. All right, now we get down to the consent agenda, and as always, we explain the consent agenda items in a little bit more detail and what you have in your agenda. So I'll begin with number 5. It's a consent agenda to be 5A, the approval of the minutes for June 21st, 25th, and July 10th meeting. 5BI is the approval of various budget amendments by Patricia Galloway, the Financial Services Director, and there are 7 items, and I'll explain those. $600 reapportion of the unspent grant funds from the Criminal Justice Partnership Program from last fiscal year. These funds are to be used to cover costs of the pretrial services workshop to facilitate the rewriting of bail and pretrial policies. No additional county funds are being requested. Number 2 is $448 increase to cover the cost of the audit services, which discovered $1,598 additional tax revenues due to the county. These revenues have been collected and the invoiced amount is due. Number 3 is a budget amendment to reflect the refinancing of our 2005 installment financing contract, which resulted in substantial savings for the county. Number 4 is $46,000 increase in the alternative learning program, which youth services contract to operate for the Rockingham County Schools. No additional county funds are being requested. Number 5 is $11,000 grant award increase from the North Carolina Rural Center to Business Technology Center to cover the cost of hiring a consultant for establishing a loan investment fund for entrepreneurs. Number 6 is a $10,000 grant decrease in the public health budget for the prescription assistant program. Number 7 is $2,100 appropriation of the federal forfeiture funding received by the sheriff, which is to be used for training costs. 5B 2I is the Business and Technology Center rollover of $52,585 of unexpended golden leaf and other revenues from the 2012 fiscal year to this year. 5B 3I is a transfer of $91,000 of federal forfeiture funds to the sheriff's office to be used for the purchase of equipment and weapons for day-to-day operations. These items include Block G4s, computer laptops, specialized SRT and dive equipment, a new K9, including specialized officer training, safety equipment, and cameras for the detention facility. And it says lasers for the bailiffs, but I'm thinking that's a typo. It should be tasers for the bailiffs. DARE and great, what do you call it? It's a great program now, teaching aids. 5C1I, or I, the approval of tax collection and reconciliation report by Karen Carter, the tax administrator, and has $44,453,840 has been collected through June on the 2011 tax levy, and $823,000 remains to be collected. The percent collected through June is 98.18%, is 0.11% behind June of last year. The motor vehicle levy for June shows $4,167,206 collected to date, and $522,384 remaining to be collected. Also, $45,000 in delinquent taxes for past years was collected in June. 5C2I is the approval of the 2011 annual settlement of the tax collector detailing taxes unpaid from the 2011 levy, including taxes collected on behalf of Reedville, Eden, Madison, Madan, and Stone. 5C3I is the approval of order directing the tax collector to collect taxes charged in the tax record and receipts for fiscal year 2012 to 2013 as required by law. 5D is the approval of the 2013 holiday schedule for Rockingham County employees. Those holidays include New Year's, Martin Luther King Day, Good Friday, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. 5E is the approval purchase of retired K9 by the handler for the sum of $1. 5F1I is the approval of expanded service codes and fees for public health dental clinic effective August 15th. 5F2I is the approval of $2 program administration fee for public health prescriptive assistance program effective October 1, 2012. 5G is the approval of revisions to the county personnel policy to clarify requirements for the retiree health insurance coverage. Ben Neal, the Director of Human Resources, asked for that. And at this time, is there any discussion on the consent agenda item? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of the consent item.
We have a motion for approval made by Commissioner Travis. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Bass. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. At this time, looking at the clock, and we are 5 minutes ahead. Can you, council, can we leave 5 minutes early?
Well, on the
public hearing?
hearings, I don't know that we had somebody show up that last time. I think it's okay to do it after.
Okay.
If you want to do something else first. Just want people to know they got to deal by Saturday.
We can do that. Right now, Amanda Whitaker, Grants Administrator, you come up and.
Good evening, how are you? The purpose for me being here tonight is that the county actually applied for a grant through the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency Urgent Repair Program. And they received award of this grant, and it's for $75,000, and it is to help very low income folks get some small repairs done to their homes. As part of this grant, they require that the county adopt a couple policies and also have a budget ordinance. All three of these documents have been sent to the state as required for their pre-approval. And I'll just go through each document for you guys and kind of give you a brief explanation of what it is. The first document that you have before you is the assistance policy, and this is kind of the overarching policy for the program. It describes who the program will serve and how much will be delegated to each house, and also talks a little bit about who qualifies. So basically with this program, grants can be made to individuals who are considered very low income in Rockingham County at a maximum of $6,000. They can be less, just no more than $6,000. And the purpose of these grants are to make repairs to homes that have conditions that could be life-threatening, or to help handicapped and disabled folks to get ramps and things that will help them get around their house better. The assistance policy describes who is eligible to apply and what forms of assistance are available. This is made available to anybody who applies or anybody who is interested. They can contact the county office or our office, and we'll provide that to them. The next document is the procurement policy, and this just describes three basic types of procurement that the state will allow. Small purchase procedures, which is anything under $25,000. Competitive sealed bids, which requires formal advertising, and then competitive negotiations. So these are the three types of procurement that you can have through this program. And then the last item that you have on your list is a project ordinance. The grant was for $75,000, and so the budget has been put into this budget ordinance at $75,000. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have about any of these policies or the project budget ordinance.
All right, let's see if there's any questions. Commissioner Bass, you have any questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Flynn?
No question.
Commissioner Travis? Commissioner Calvin?
I just like to say this, well, local contractors and all, they will have a base opportunity to bid these work on the lookout in this county.
Yes, and any new contractors that have not sent bids in the past, if they get their information to the county, we'll make sure that they get the packets.
Let me ask this, all the houses and things that are took under contract by these contractors, will them old houses and places be checked for lead paint?
Yes.
They will be checked in case there is lead paint there.
Yes.
For the safety of, for the safety of our kids.
As part of this program, lead paint is one of the focuses. So if lead paint is a problem, it will have to be resolved. So we have to look at that, and there is lead paint in the house and we can do it within that budget, then we will by all means get that done.
Okay. Will you advertise this out in every respect so that the senior citizens and our older people in this county who don't all subscribe to the internet will be able to access this? And this is my
Yes, actually, there should be a notice that will run in the local paper, and anyone who has applied in the past will receive a letter in the mail and let them know that we have this program available and that they are going to be considered, or if we need any new information, they need to submit that to us at this time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And thank you for what you're doing.
Sure.
On some of the tests that you're looking at other than lead-based paint, which applies to anything prior to 1978, are you going to be checking for radon?
Not typically. Typically with this program, these are very small repairs. Most people are applying for things such as roofs and handicap ramps, anything that would be considered life-threatening. Lead, usually if we find lead, is more than what this program can handle, and we typically have to ask the Housing Finance Agency for some extra help. So if we have a situation like that, usually they're willing to help us out and give us the money that's necessary to take care of that problem. But radon is not usually something that we test for.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Eugene, this time we just need to seek approval.
That's correct.
This item. All right. Seeing there's no other questions or discussions, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for approval of this year grant thing for our senior citizen people in that county.
Okay, I have a motion for approval by Commissioner Callan. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Flint. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise? Thank you, man. At this time, it is after 7. We will go up to our public hearing. It's scheduled for 7. Thank you.
This is case number 2012-013. It's a request for rezoning from light industrial conditional use to light industrial conditional district for a commercial wholesale bakery that includes packaging and distribution. The applicant is Michael Cusato for Kalo Foods, LLC. The location of the property is at 119 Carlton Park Drive. You can refer to the map in your packet for a better orientation. It's approximately 5.02 acres. Staff would like to note that of the conditions that were in your packet, the applicant has met condition number 7, and we do have a copy of the driveway permit from NCDOT on file in our records now. The planning board voted unanimously, 9-0, to recommend approval of this case with the attached conditions listed in the request for board action at its July 16, 2012 meeting. Staff also recommends approval. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Okay, at this time, Commissioner Travis, you have any questions?
Yes, Frankie. Is Mr. Cusato here?
Yes, they are. They're in the...
Can you bring him up? I just want to tell him thank you. Is that who you talked to, Lance?
Yes.
Okay.
How you doing, sir?
Good evening.
I just want to tell you, bring you up personally and tell you thank you for working with the county. I'm so appreciative that you got in touch with the county manager so we could help you with your business there in Stokesdale. I'm sure he's informed you how we wasn't made aware of anything that was going on with your business, but I'm glad we had a county manager that stepped up and started talking to you and finding out your problems and concerns. And I hope that we can have a good relationship with you with the county, and any concerns, I hope you please come talk to us about whatever thing you have. But again, I'm appreciative of what your company's doing. I think, what was it, Lance, 20 employees? 22 employees, and
any little bit helps, and I really want to say I appreciate it as the board here probably does too. Thank you for coming to Rockingham County.
Well, I appreciate it, and the county manager, he's been a great partner, and you know, I expect to have a great relationship with the county, and I'm hoping that 22 is just the beginning. We've got 5 acres, and we're planning for expansion, so I expect to have a great relationship here, and I thank you.
And again, like I said, I appreciate any comments or anything. Please get with the county manager. Any concerns that you had through your process. I know you had some heartache there for a little bit and some misunderstandings, but I'm hoping that the county will eventually go in a direction that we correct them problems. But I appreciate you talking to Lance, and I appreciate Lance getting in touch with you too, and you know, hopefully we can continue to have a good relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, there may be some other questions. Just hang around. Commissioner Callum?
Mr. Zotto, I want to reflect upon the same thing. We do appreciate what you're doing, the adventure that you're taking, as well as the gamble. That you do everything you and I both know, anything in business is a gamble.
Yes.
Till you build a very profitable situation that says otherwise. 22 employees is a good business, and we need the jobs in our county. If we had 10 more companies like you, it would really make my day. I mean, I tell you, I'd go out and do handstands in the neighborhood. So we do appreciate what you're doing and how you've done it, and thank you for your resilience in how you handle business and how you've done things, sir.
Oh, thank you. I don't mind being part of the learning process.
Okay, Commissioner Bax?
Yes, I would like also to add my congratulations and thanks for the economic boost. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Flint?
Just to say welcome to Rockingham County. We look forward to your contributions to our economic base. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I too will concur with my other 4 colleagues. You know, we welcome any business to bring any employment to Rockingham County. And to hear that you're looking forward to expanding is even a better thrill. And even though things may not start out the way they should, a little complicated that you shouldn't have been, anything we can do from a business tech point from Mark Wells Group to our management and staff and even the Board of Commissioners, we'll be more than glad to help you and work with you in any way we can. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions for Frankie? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of, do I need to say the tax ID number?
That would be the
Case number.
Case number 2012-013.
Okay, have a motion for approval by Commissioner Travis, the second by Commissioner Callum. All in favor for approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. Thank you a whole lot. Thank you, Frank. Great. At this time, Mr. Taylor.
Good evening. The county has submitted an application for a 5-year renewal of the permit to operate the Subtitle D landfill as required by North Carolina Statute 130A-295.8. Included in this renewal application is a request to modify the landfill footprint by allowing vertical expansion to increase waste disposal capacity and extend the life of the currently permitted landfill footprint. Engineering projections indicate that by increasing the height of waste disposal an additional 36 feet above the currently permitted heights in phases 1 through 3, waste disposal in the area can be extended by approximately 5 years at the current level of waste, which is 93,000 tons per year. An increase in waste disposal height combined with the side slope modification already underway will create additional capacity for each acre of landfill constructed, thus improving operating efficiencies and reducing overall cost of operation. Since this is an increase of more than 10% in the quantity of solid waste to be disposed in the landfill, North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources regulations define this as a substantial amendment and must be approved by the Board of Commissioners. This amendment requires at least one public meeting to inform the community and advertisement of the meeting in local papers, radio, and TV stations. This advertisement was done on July 11, 2012. We would respectfully ask the Commissioner's approval of this application and modification of the permit by a vote on the motion to approve. Thank you. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. And also, Evan Andrews from Joyce Engineering, who does our engineering for the landfill, is also in the audience if we have any technical questions.
Okay, let me see if there's any questions. And also, as a note of record, both for the Kalo Foods and for the waste capacity, didn't anyone sign up to publicly speak about it? But I just want to make that a part of the record. But Commissioner Callum's got a question for you.
Okay.
Ronnie, in the past, we put a lot of dirt back on the top of the landfill to compact it, to run the compaction down. Will we be putting, how will we be doing this once we have reached the maximum level on this year new landfill at the angle and the degree that we have increased this by? What would be the top fill? Would it be like 2 foot of dirt or 3 foot or something?
It's a combination of dirt and matting. It comes out to about 42 inches, I think, in thickness overall on the very top. But it's a combination of dirt layers and then matting for drainage and a different matting on top of that, and then more dirt on top of that.
Now listen, Ron, I know you figured this thing out, but I'd just like to know, with that slope and that degree that we're talking about, what are we going to do and how's that going to control for erosion?
It'll be seeded, grass and seeded to control the erosion.
Okay, as we go, as the development proceeds.
It gets seeded as it goes.
Okay, so do we mat it and then seed it as we go?
It's covered and seeded as we go.
Okay, I was wondering how you was going to do that. And this will increase our capacity, you said, by extending the life of it by 5 years?
Approximately 5 years. It depends on the tonnage. If we take less, it'll give us more time. If we take more, it'll be a shorter amount of time.
Okay, well, that's money well spent, in your opinion. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. I understand. That'll give the people in this county an extended life on that landfill, and to give us the opportunity to accept more waste and give us a longer run. So thank you for your work, Ron.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Bass?
Yes, what I would like to ask you, Mr. Chairman, in as much as we have a large group here tonight, and I know this is a public hearing, is it possible that we could extend the opportunity for those who are here, in as much as they didn't sign up, just to speak up if they have questions at this time?
The board can permit that comment.
Yeah, is there any discussion concerning that? I don't have any problem with it.
I have no concern with it.
I think it'll be fine if somebody hears something that we say, and if they raise their hand and would like to ask a question, then we can call on them, and we can do it like that. That'll be fine. Because this is very important for the county.
Is there anyone who has a question about the subject we're discussing? If you would like to, you have an opportunity to speak up and speak out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Plant?
2 questions. First of all, have we ever increased the vertical height of the landfill in the past? Is this the first time?
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is the first time since it was originally permitted in 1990.
If you would, come on up so be a part of the record, please.
Good evening, I'm Evan Andrews, Regional Manager for Joyce Engineering in Greensboro. This will be the first vertical expansion since it was originally permitted in 1998 for the landfill. Just new technologies have allowed us to push the envelope a little bit further on how we develop and how we use this space, taking advantage of the technology.
How long do you anticipate for construction?
But this is permitting now, so you'll construct as you always have, day by day. But the overall life of the landfill will be pushed out to about year 2045.
And Mr. Manager, I know that there is currently a study being done. Is the information that these people are presenting to us tonight, will it be presented to them, or has it already been presented to them?
It is in that And I've got a portion of that back, and I'm gonna get that to you all as soon as I have a chance to review it and get my comments back to them, which will be in the next couple of weeks. Just because I know you all had asked for a portion of whatever they've got so far to get back to you, so I'll start getting that back to you as soon as I get that. But yes, it is included.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Travis?
Ronnie, I just want to tell you and your staff, thank you for looking at this and seeing the need to do something. That was the whole reason why we wanted this study done too, to see the effectiveness of what our landfill is doing now and what we can do better. And I think this is a step in the right direction to prolong the life. And with all the new technology coming out with impacting rate and everything, I'm sure it's going to change a little bit more as the years go on. So I appreciate all your hard work on this. Thank you.
Commissioner Bass has a follow-up question.
Yes, this procedure, vertical expansion, you say this is the first time it's been done?
At the Rockingham County landfill, but not the first time anywhere.
Will there be another time that it'll have to be done, or how long will this last?
This modification, it applies to all 8 phases of the landfill. So the whole 82-acre footprint that's already been established was established in 98. It'll apply to all the phases of it.
Okay. And the benefit being what?
It was originally permitted for about 6 million cubic yards of disposal capacity in 1998, and by just keeping the same 82 acres, we're able to put now 8.8 million yards of trash in the same space.
I see.
So we're just a more efficient use of the footprint that was already permitted.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very kindly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I got a couple questions for either one of you. Looking at where we were in 2011, looking at table 3, I studied it quite a bit the other day, and seeing that we were down on sale 3 to 165, let's just say 166,000 tons of capacity before this vertical expansion goes into place, and knowing that we only get, we're dumping about 92,000 tons a year annually, close, that actually sale 3 only had about a year and a half life expectancy on it if we don't do this vertical expansion, correct?
I think that's correct.
Okay, and seeing that we go from 166,000 tons capacity, and then if we agree with or we approve the vertical expansion, it jumps up to 817,000 tons. A huge increase now, and it also extends where our life expectancy beforehand went out to about 28 or 32, I believe it was. Doing this off memory, and I'm over 50, so that's the reason I use a couple of dates. But I think it went to 2032. It pushed this out to 2040, actually 2050 is what I see. Oh, well, actually, no, it don't. It's 2045. And with the new technology that comes on every so often, would it seem to reason that, you know, we can't tell the future that far out, but would it seem to reason that 2045, with the new technologies as they come out, new ways to burn off waste, that this thing could be pushed out to 2075? I'm not going to be here.
Well, I certainly think anything's possible. You know, I think as the technologies develop, I'm sure we'll take a look at them, and Joyce will too, as they continue to work with us on the engineering part of it. And as always, I think we want to be the best stewards of our asset and use it as efficiently and effectively as we can. We just have to stay on top of it and make sure that we do that.
Y'all have done a real good job. I appreciate the work that the engineering group does, and the work that you're doing as well. All right, real good. I don't have any further questions, and I don't see any other questions there at this point in time. No, did nobody sign up to speak? And I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the request to vertically expand the footprint of the Rockingham County Subtitle D landfill to increase the waste disposal capacity of the currently permitted area, which is Area 3.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval of the request to expand the vertical footprint of the landfill.
Okay, I have a motion for approval of the vertical expansion. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Bass. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. Thank both of you. Thanks for your work. All right, at this time, we'll jump back to item 6, which is the public comment period. And as you know, we allow 3 minutes for you to speak on any subject you'd like to speak on. And at this time, and please state your name and address when you get to the podium. And if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. Danielle Hamlet.
Good afternoon. My name is Danielle Hammett, and I'm the minister at Spray United Methodist Church, and I'm speaking on behalf tonight of UMAR Mental Health Services. And I know Jonathan's going to come up here in a minute and make some requests from y'all. For 12 years prior to my being called into the ministry, I was blessed to work in the mental health system in some way or another. I was the Thomas S. coordinator for Rutherford Polk counties for 3 years out of those 12 years. I've sat in horror as the state has cut mental health programs more and more. If you go back in history to the 1980s and look at the Thomas S. population, you will remember that this was a lawsuit brought against the state for warehousing persons who were developmentally challenged with persons who had mental illness. At the time, it seemed that there would be no harm to come from this. However, the lawsuit showed that environmentally people can pick up mental illness. As I stand here today asking for help from this government body, I wonder how long it will be before another class action lawsuit is filed. I also have concern that this will also not only be the state, but also local level as persons with handicaps strive to have a productive life and live in their communities as we mandated by the state when they can't live in state facilities. UMAR at the Rock was once Opportunity House. Then sadly, Opportunity House ran out of funds. The United Methodist Church stepped in to keep this needed agency from closing. Where would these folks go? How would they survive? What would be their purpose? We as a society call for people to be productive, yet when these folks try to be productive and have purpose, we cut them down. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, how does someone reach self-actualization if the world around them defines them as less than? I am here to beg you to give careful attention to the request being made. It isn't one of fixing the problem by giving the money, but one of helping us help others during this time. You're being asked to look at each face here as a person that they are, not to define them as a disability. Ladies and gentlemen, you are being called to a task to do what is right and humane. You're being called to set an example. You're being called to be responsible for all the citizens of Rockingham County. I urge you to look at these citizens and choose what is good and right thing for them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and the second one signed up, Mr. Bobby Stanley.
Bobby Stanley, 628 Young Road, Stonewall, North Carolina, 27148, and it's been a while.
It has.
It's been a nice break there, Bob.
Okay, but what I want to talk about, I went to the school board meeting last night, and they was talking about increased enrollment of 147, I think. And they seem to think due to these Chromebooks, which was paid for by the Golden Leaf Foundation, the Reedsville Area Foundation, that Rockingham County school system is really starting to get out front in technology. And maybe people are starting to come back to our county for this purpose. Our schools are starting to function better, and better. This works. And, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, Reidsville High was having a lot of trouble and they recruited, I think there was 3 math teachers to come back. And their test scores, if I remember correctly, went up about 113%. This stuff does work. And I think McMichael High School's becoming a technology academy too this year. And I want to talk about the Historical Museum too. I was out there Saturday. It was quite a crowd there. The people there have done an exceptional job in preparing that. I was out there about 6-7 weeks ago and went through it. It was under construction. We had a meal, which they give to us. It was trying to raise money, contributions. You know, they really need help. It's what the lady said in United Way, stuff like it works for the Historical Museum. It's a lot of folks in this county could afford to give $20, $50, $100, maybe $200. This thing is in our best interest for economic development. They're doing a super job. And as I look out into that camera, anyone that may be out there, please think about this. With the schools, the Historical Museum, and I got a lot of things I'd like to talk about, but my time's running out. Maybe this will improve our economic structure in this county. Thank you.
Sir, my first name is Mohammed, last name is Bajwa, and I come from Ross's Group Home. I live at 1003 West Avenue, Eden, North Carolina. Okay, I want to bring in attention about our facility, which is Ross's Group Home, that we had a meeting at Center Point, and there was a great cut in the funds. So we are having about 13 houses, with each house having 5 to 6 residents who are MR, and we are running 2 types of houses. One is ICFMFR, and the other one is DD houses. So with the cut of funds, it will be very difficult to manage, and I don't know how we are going to provide the services which they are already having, because all of them, they have guardians, but some of them they don't have, they are their own guardians. But looking at the funds, some of the guardians do not even turn and see how they are living, and it will be very difficult to manage. So I will be requesting if, we can decide, provide some of the funds which have been cut down, because at Center Point, we heard the other counties, they do have decided to provide some funds towards this side. So this is the only thing I want to.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, Monica Odell.
My name is Monica Odell. I live at 163 Pineview Road, Eden, North Carolina. And I am here today as a representative for the Consumer and Family Advisory Committee for Rockingham County. And that has to do with representing the DD, MH, and SA services in Rockingham County. First of all, I would like to thank the commissioners for their dedication in what they do for Rockingham County, and that I know this must be a hard job in these economic times. I think we're all suffering due to it. But I would like for the county commissioners to please support the MCO with Centerpoint. If we do not, then I am afraid of what is going to happen in Rockingham County to the people who need these services. The mental health, substance abuse, and IDD consumers are dependent that these services be provided to them. And if we do not support Centerpoint at this point, then what will happen is the providers will be cut as much as 40%. The providers in Rockingham County cannot survive this. And if these people do not receive services, then what's going to happen is, long term, there's going to be more money spent elsewhere from Rockingham County, such as, you know, the criminal justice, such as the emergency rooms, you know, law enforcement. All these, we're going to spend more money on that. So it is really important that I think that we do this. Also, you know, there is some of what, it's my understanding, and I've been to meetings about this, that they've asked for a loan not to be given this money. And if it's a loan and they get this, you know, that we're paid back this money to this county, then I don't know how we can lose. My last comment is, anyone that's in the audience that's affected by this issue tonight, could you please stand? As y'all can see, this is a very important issue to the residents of Rockingham County. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Deborah Rouse, and our address is 5949 NC Highway 135. And I'm the COO of Rouse's Group Home 2. Rouse's, as a whole, has served Rockingham County persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities for over 41 years. And I stand before you today as a native of Rockingham County and as an advocate for the families and the citizens of Rockingham County who are either consumers or caregivers for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I want to explain to you the heart-wrenching family and economic decisions that our citizens have to make when funding is eliminated. Our consumers and families hear far too often, I'm sorry, service slots are frozen, or sorry, but there are no slots available, or there are no funds available. And I want you to think for a while, as I serve as the voice for those consumers and those families who often go unheard. What happens to the caregiver who has to make that grueling decision to stay at home with a loved one who needs their care or jeopardize the economic stability of the family? What happens to the consumer whose needs are identified but continue year after year to go unmet because they're on the wait list? And what happens to that consumer who has to leave our county and sometimes even cross state lines to receive services because the services aren't available in Rockingham County? And I far too often hear a caregiver say, I'm sorry, I'd love to attend a function that you're having, but I don't have transportation, or I don't have minutes left on my cell phone, so I can't talk to you after this conversation. Or, I'm sorry, I'd love to see what you're saying, but I don't have access to a computer. And last but not least, for that consumer who ages out and still has that relevant need, but has to seek alternative services only to find that those services don't exist in our county. So I'll leave you with, I served on a health focus group a couple of weeks ago, and one of the first questions asked to every participant was, what do you like most about Rockingham County? And it was overwhelming response from the participants, and that is, we are a society that continues to have that hometown feeling. And we take care of our neighbors and our community, and we share a sense of pride because we are our brother's keeper. And we celebrate our successes and bond together in times of need. And to me, that's what Rockingham County is. So I'm thankful for your willingness to listen to our voices, to give value to our stories, and support the individuals that often go unheard and sometimes undervalued. So it's within that framework, I'd like to thank you for your consideration to provide the desperately needed funding allocations for Rockingham County. Thank you.
My name is Billy West. I'm the Executive Director of Daymart Recovery Services. I reside at 220 Westover Drive, Lexington, North Carolina. First, I want to say thank you to the commissioners. We've been here almost, well, this is 3 years, soon to be fourth. This will be our 4th year coming up. And it's without the support of all the county departments, I don't think we would have still been successful, particularly law enforcement, also the local community hospitals. We served 3,614 Rockingham County citizens last year. And we employ, and I'm sorry I didn't bring the exact number, but it's approximately 30 plus employees. I'm here tonight to talk in support of the CenterPoint Human Services proposal to be granted or loaned the money to be paid back to the counties, or some type of money. The state has made some funding decisions in Raleigh, and we have to live by these locally in all of our communities, particularly, this one's no different. I believe that the CenterPoint Human Services plan is creative. It has a positive impact and should create no long-term fiscal risk to the county. This plan also allows CenterPoint Human Services to get busy with securing and maturing a Medicaid waiver for longer-term stability in our communities, while simultaneously and immediately stabilizing some of the crisis that has been brought on by cuts from Raleigh. And I just wanted to voice my support and reasons why. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Billy. Next on the list is Ronald. It's A-T-H, looks like A-T-H-S-O-N.
Is it possible we could get the mic down to him, please?
Yeah, just pick it up and hand it down to him.
Yeah. Down there.
Thank you. I introduce Ronald Addison of 626 South Madison Street.
Ma'am, would you do me a favor? Would you move him aside so that Mr. Bass can actually see the gentleman?
You can
If
untie
possible.
that cord, it should reach.
I'm R.C. Addison from number 6, and I would like to ask you a question. What you gonna do with the money if we can make it? If we don't have a job, we're gonna be in a worse shape than we ever been into. And God will be well blessed if somebody will be nice enough to give us some money to keep the place open. We the ones that keep the place open for the Opportunity Corporation. We the ones that kept it open, but they didn't say what it was going to use it for, because if we didn't have the help that we needed and things, we would be out of a job. And I'm in the worst shape that I've ever been in, that I've been operated on, and I really would appreciate it if somebody would give us some money and help us keep the place open. If we don't, we're going to have to leave there, and then we'd be in bad shape.
Thank you, R.C. Thank you a lot. And LaToya Petty.
Good evening. My name is LaToya Petty, and I'm also here on the same issue as far as the budget cuts. I'm here on a professional level, but I'm here on a personal level first. April 6, 1988, my brother was born with profound mental retardation, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. And at that time, it's because of the services that he received that it helped my family to learn how to care for him. It helped my family to learn what we needed to do in order for him to continue to live. It was those services that helped for him to receive the depends he needed, the insure that he needed. And all of those things were very important, because when you have a child that's born into this world that way, you as a family, sometimes you lost. You don't know how to care for them or what to do. And those services and being taught what to do, and that relief from, being able to just go and go to your job, or being able to go to the library, because sometimes people that have disabilities are restricted from doing the things that we do every day. Sometimes we take those things for granted. And it's with those services that we're able to give them a better quality of life, that they're able to be acceptable to learn new things. They're able to be able to do some of the things that we do. And it's just very important that they still continue to have those services, because some of the people that have those services, their families have passed on. They don't have anybody else. And to them, the group home or whatever facility or whatever caretaker that's coming in is their family. So when they lose that, and not to mention programs like UMOR, that's their livelihood. If we think about our livelihood, it's important for them. That's a reason for them to get up in the morning and have somewhere to go to that's meaningful to them. So those things are important to me. And I do thank the county for everything they've done in the past. I thank them for all the support that's already being given to this cause. So I would just like for you to consider the fact and consider the faces and the people that are affected by this issue. Even in these hard times, it will be an even harder time for those served if they were unable to continue to get the help that they need. Thank you.
And that concludes the public comment period. That's all those that signed up. And at this time, I'll go to the commissioner's comments for this evening. And just a reminder that we're on the clock as well. So we got 3 minutes, no different than the public does. So we do everybody the same way, even us. So at this time, Commissioner Travis, you want to start?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. I want to thank all the speakers that came up, but I want to say thank you to Bobby Stanley for his comments, because it sounds like you were saying the commissioners were doing a pretty good job at economic development there. So I appreciate that. I think the county's heading in a pretty good direction. I think we're doing some good things. I hope we continue to pace up. There's still a lot more work for us to do, and I think this board is in the process of trying to correct them problems. But I want to see if Ms. Roush can come back up, if it's okay with the chairman. Deborah, right? Deborah?
That'd be fine.
If you don't mind, Deborah, I just got a couple of questions for you, and I hope I can do it in 2 minutes. One of the questions, you had some great people come up talking to us about your problems you're having, but not once did I hear what you're requesting. I don't know what you need. No one said anything about what you need. I know you're having problems with the state budget that's come. I think you're looking at probably $40,000 shortfall.
Our particular agency is, but the allocations, and I think Kevin Beckham from Centerpoint is here. It was $227,000. I don't have the complete number.
Yeah, that's for Centerpoint.
For Centerpoint. We receive services per the funds, per the services that we provide, which are inclusive in that amount.
Right.
So what we're asking you to consider is, that 40,000 may affect Rouse's, but that 200 and some thousand affects Rockingham County, and that's what we're advocating for. Yes, I am a provider. Yes, we do have significant needs, but I want to make sure we're all taken care of.
So you're hoping that we approve what Centerpoint's request
Exactly.
is to, so you're not up here asking for additional funds? No, sir. Okay, I want to make sure, because a lot of people was talking, but I never heard a similar request, and I didn't know what the problem was. So I did get a phone call today about your concerns.
Thank you.
And I did do some research on it, and I think I think Larry Johnson's and the county manager and us are looking at some options, so I hope we can do something. So before I comment any further, I'll wait to hear from what CenterPoint has to say.
Thank you.
And again, I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting your cause, because this is what a government by the people is supposed to do. And I really appreciate that, because I wish I could have this room full more. And you know, your group and your cause, you definitely need to stay in contact with the elected officials to let us know what your concerns and what your problems are, especially Mr. Larry Johnson or county manager. And I appreciate everyone coming up. Thank you. How's that, Mr. Chairman?
Right on the nose. Good job, Craig. Commissioner Flint?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of information provided to us in the last, well, I guess probably somewhere close to 20, 25 minutes now. And there'll be more information that'll be presented to us later on when Daymark makes their presentation to us. And I really appreciate each of them coming here tonight. Each has a personal story. And it's kind of heart-wrenching, really, to listen to some of the stories, but we do appreciate your taking the time to come tonight. I'd like just very quickly to comment and to thank Ms. Galloway for her services and her award tonight. She came to us, October last year, September, somewhere like around there, and has jumped right on the ball and has kept this county running good financially, along with a good staff that does support her. So we're very pleased with what you're doing, and congratulations. And one final comment that Bobby mentioned, and that is the MARC, the Museum Archives of Rockingham County. I think most of the commissioners were able to go this past weekend for their dedication. It is something this county can certainly be proud of. And if you have not had that opportunity to go, please do take the time to go and look at the history of this county. It's served well in the state of North Carolina and actually in the United States. So take time to go look at it, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Flint. Commissioner Backus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have three brief comments. First of all, I want to thank all of the citizens who came up and spoke up and made comments. I think that's what our public comment period is all about, and certainly it was utilized extremely well. Secondly, I too want to thank all of the citizens and everyone who participated and was a part of the museum and the archives opening this past Saturday. It's these kinds of projects that we can support and will do extremely well, and we'll learn a lot from them as well. And hopefully those of us who are part of that project will serve as ambassadors and go out and tell others to come and see what we're doing here in Rockingham County. And thirdly, my special thanks to all of you who applied for the Citizens Academy. As you know, we will be starting that up on September the 6th, and that's a 10-week program. We hope again to create more ambassadors to tell the story about Rockingham County. Thank you so much for your participation and your interest in your government. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Bass. Commissioner Kellum?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As every one of you sitting there realizes and understands completely, when the state of North Carolina decides to make a budget cut and a differences, it has a dire impact somewhere. It can have drastic impact. Tonight, I sit here and realize that the impact that the state's paid to the CenterPoint services based throughout our state is having a drastic impact. When you sit and look at the faces and the people here tonight, as presented here tonight, and show the promises and things, it's living proof that the people who sit and make the rules, write the laws, and make these cuts, they don't face the people. We're sitting here on this board, and we're part of your county. We look at the people, we see the people, we understand what you're coming from, and I see 100% where you are and where you're coming from. And I mean, believe me, it's a heartfelt decision. I don't believe the state of North Carolina realizes and has any concerns sometimes from the lawmakers and people, the impact they have and the repercussions they have when they set these programs and change them. I listened to several people tonight make a lot of statements and things, and Daniel, Ms. Hammond, I really did, I really liked what you said and some of the things, and Bobby, I appreciated what you had to say about our museum and our needs and things to work with our schools and things. Ms. Odell, I realize that you have a great deal of concern and everything for Centerport and how you support it and how you work through it, and you want to us to work with you and as a provider of services and things. You don't want them cut off because they do have direct impact upon the people in our county and the services and things that you do provide. And believe me, I will investigate these things and get into them to find out exactly where you do stand and what we are doing so that we can work together to make these things work. Ms. Rouse, you mentioned a great deal of support and things that you would need from us and from different people since these situations are cut. Well, I tell you what, I'll go back and ask every one of you after I can hear this. Let's be a board. Let's go back to the whole state. Everybody calls the state. Everybody in state North Carolina are our leaders and ask them to work with us. Okay. Ms. Petty and all the different people, for you and Ms. Aiken and Ronald and Mr. Philly West, every one of you, you laid out a very good plan that we need to support and that we need to work with on you in any way as possible. We will do just that, and I will, and I will help you in any way we have to do this. We need an ongoing and continuous kind of support, and that's what you're going to need. It's not going to be just support for one time. When they cut back this thing, it's going to be a continuous thing that we will need to do to work on you to help these programs and to help the people of this county. And listen, it's all about helping the people in our county and to making things work for the people. Because the people in the county is everything. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Callum. The thing that I'd like to recognize, especially the Pat and her entire staff when getting that award tonight. Also, the museum. I went through it Friday evening, and it really is amazing what they've done with that. And I encourage you to take your child or take your children and visit that museum. It is an awesome place. They've done a great job. As far as our schools go and the laptops and computers and all that they've worked with, the superintendent, Rodney Shotwell, has done an outstanding job, just a superb job of shooting and getting funding for those items. And I see that we could be leading some things in our school system instead of trailing behind looking at what others do. And so if you see the superintendent out, be sure to encourage him to continue his hard work because he has done that. The funding, it's a sad thing that we are short on funding. And this snowball starts at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And then it rolls down to Raleigh, and then it rolls down to the counties. And as everyone knew a year or two ago, that once these cuts start coming, and they came a little bit last year, not much, then they come even more this year, that these cuts are going to roll, and they're going to roll, and they're going to stop at the local level. And it's up to the local level to try to do their best with what funding we have. We can't print it like Washington does, unfortunately. We can print it, but it ain't no good. You can't tell Sam that. But anyway, I got 59 seconds. But I hope we can work something out. I think it would be great if the county manager and Pat get together and discuss some options and throw some options on the table for us to discuss as a board and see what we can and what we can't do. With that being said, I will conclude my comments for tonight with 35 seconds still left on the clock. Thank y'all a whole lot, and thank all of you for coming and for supporting the groups that you have. Thank you again. So at this time, we will jump to item 10, which is Jonathan Briggs. If you'd come forward, please.
Jonathan Briggs, 154 Auburn Street, Greensville, North Carolina. And I
Greetings to all of you. I appreciate and thank the commissioners for all their good work. I know many of you have come to our campus and stopped by to introduce yourself and offer your help in the past, and we want to appreciate that. I have with me Ann Church, President and CEO of UMAR, and because Betty Taylor was not able to make it from Centerpoint, I've asked Ann to be available for questions. And we also, I see I have Kevin behind us also from Centerpoint, also for questions, which I appreciate. And also Centerpoint representatives Jeff Payne and Bruce Johnson are also here, CPAC representatives, the Community Family Advisory Committee members, participants, family members, and our group home colleagues. And our largest group home partner is Rouse's. They have more than 32 of our 62 in their homes, so they're our biggest partner. I'm here to ask for your support of services for persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities, substance abuse, and mental health for the county to loan $228,579 to Centerpoint to be paid back over 5 years. You know that the Rock campus has a rich and long 47-year history of providing services to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Since I became a part of UMAR at the Rock a little over 2 years ago, I've witnessed new heights and more opening experiences in the times with UMAR coming in and helping us manage that site. We now employ 26 employees. Previous to January the 19th, when Centerpoint was notified by the state of the additional budget cuts, we were in a hiring mode because our production contracts are increasing. We picked up another private yard for our yard crew. We picked up another church to clean, and our partnership with Piedmont Local Food, providing a driver for them, which is a staff person, and then a participant to help package the products from the farm and to deliver out, is expanding. So we've been on a hiring mode until we had heard about this budget situation. Over the past 2 years, we have moved beyond our campus to form partnerships with employers, schools, vocational rehabilitation agencies to help our participants become productive members of the community. Our UMAR at the Rock mobile work crews are cleaning the streets of Reedsville, North Carolina 3 days a week, cleaning local churches, and our grounds crews are maintaining businesses and residential properties. We have increased the quality of our campus program by adding the arts and reestablishing our horticulture and greenhouse programs. All of these programs, activities provide choices to engage each participant in the interest of their career choice and have a meaningful life in the community, which we all know the biggest priority is work. We are working closely with all our campus partners, the Sheriff's Department, Business Technology Center, Piedmont Local Food. We have opened up the campus and continue to work with county representatives. And I must say the county employees that we work with have been absolutely outstanding. We work most frequently with Joanne Coram and Ronnie Tate and the engineering folks and the maintenance folks, because if we have a water main break or if we have something that we can't deal with on that property, they come and rescue us, and we appreciate that relationship very much, and we have built a really good partnership. All of this has been possible because of the commitment of Centerpoint to its citizens and the citizens of Rockingham County to serve our population. The clinical support and care management from Centerpoint that we have received at UMAR has been outstanding. Centerpoint puts consumers first in all decisions while also providing the technical support to be as successful in this new managed care environment. On July 19th, I was notified that the state was cutting an additional $1.7 million from Centerpoint's funding, which will have a dramatic impact on all the work and progress we have made to provide services in Rockingham County. What stuck out to me in the work groups that we had at Centerpoint, in the open meetings that we had at Centerpoint, was UMAR at the Rock was one of 4 providers within the Centerpoint catchment area that would be affected more substantially than others because of all the single stream funding that comes down.
and I know Kevin can speak better to that. Due to the fund balance within CenterPoint, we know that services will have to be cut if they do not receive the loan request. And I believe they're in the situation that they're in now with the fund balance because they have put participants first and they have paid providers in a timely manner so that they can continue to provide services. UMAR, along with other providers in the CenterPoint network, make the plan on how to have continuity of care while having to curtail services. All providers decided on a set percentage to cut rather than a rate cut. Having that option to make that decision as a provider, we appreciated. During this meeting, with CenterPoint, I was heartened to learn that Rockingham County Commissioners had already shared with Betty Taylor that they were positive about the potential to support the loan to the LME to ensure that services will continue and the transition to managed care can take place. UMAR's support is grounded in this being in line with CenterPoint's commitment to accountability as demonstrated by their request for a loan rather than requesting ongoing county funds. UMAR at the Rock currently serves 62 participants. However, this is just a fraction of the 5,837 of your friends, family members, and fellow residents of Rockingham County cared for through CenterPoint and local providers. These cuts are significant because they come after 3 years of ongoing state cuts to our intellectual disability, substance abuse, and mental health services. These cuts not only impact people in need, they impact small business owners who employ Rockingham County citizens as well as the community at large. Given the impact on family members, natural supports who support this group, the impact of not continuing services at current levels will be substantial. Working parents may have to stay home. Untreated consumers may not be able to work due to mental health concerns. The ripple effect has already been noticed by those providing services. UMAR did not have a wait list 2 years ago. We took whoever qualified in as they came. We now have a wait list due to cuts 2 years ago, and the majority of those folks on that wait list are post-high school under the age of 25. So we have young people sitting at home that are needing vocational training and continued support, but we don't have the slots to provide services for them after they leave high school. I participated in a meeting with area mental health, substance abuse, and disability providers, and all are seeing a longer wait list times to get medications, delays in getting treatment following discharge from hospitals, and increased emergency room wait times requiring law enforcement officers. We are also seeing a reduction in respite services for families and participants. Wait times and increasing wait times are interfering with care coordination for all service providers. I talked with a mother this week who's on our waiting list who lost her case manager, and actually this is the second time she's lost it in the last 2 years, and she's going to have to start all over as far as arranging services and educating that case manager about her son. The approval of the CenterPoint loan gives all providers time to transition participants to home or other services in a sensitive and careful way, time to collaborate with our community partners and find support through government and local and community partners to try to find other solutions to our situation. Our contract with CenterPoint was reduced effective July 1st, and we may lose about 10% of our participants as a result of that. Without a loan to CenterPoint, our ability to meet the growing needs of our participants will be very difficult. I thank you, and thank you for supporting the mental health, substance abuse, and disability populations and programs in our county, and I thank you for your attention to this.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if I'm sure there's going to be some questions. Commissioner Bass?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Mr. Griggs, for your presentation, and thank you also for what UMAR does in our county. But what was the amount of that loan you said, the dollar amount?
Commissioner Bass, what CenterPoint has requested would be a loan in the amount of $228,579. This loan request originally came about because we are in the transition phase of going from an LME to an MCO to operate Medicaid waiver. The implementation cost to become an MCO, we have budgeted at $3.7 million. We simply do not have the fund balance to pay the full amount. The reason that we don't have the fund balance is in prior years, as the state has reduced funding, the CenterPoint board has made the decision to supplement those cuts with its fund balance with the hopes that things would turn around and settle. Unfortunately, what we have seen is things continue to be unsettled and to continue to get worse. What we did with these loan requests is we made them to each county, and the amount of the loan request was based on each county's percentage share of discretionary funding that they give to CenterPoint for services. Here in Rockingham County, we are fortunate you give us $600,000 in discretionary funds. You give us $100,000 in kind with the mental health center. That funding that you give us stays here in Rockingham County, and it goes to support services. It doesn't come to CenterPoint and support our admin functions. It stays here for services. Unfortunately, with the cost that we are incurring with the Medicaid waiver and with the timeline that we were given, originally the state set this thing up to be put across the whole state within a 5-year period. Last year in the legislative session, that 5-year period was ramped up to 18 months, and we were given until January 1st to become operational. If we were not operational, then the state would come in and assign our counties to someone else. So that is the reason that we initially needed this funding, was to help with these costs, because we do not get any funding from the state to operate the waiver until January 1st, but we have 18 months worth of implementation costs that we have to incur. So what we have had to do is, with the money that we put out for services within each county, is pull back some of that discretionary money at the beginning of this year. And in Rockingham County, that amount is to the $228,000. That was done prior to us receiving notification on July 13th that we were taking an additional $1.7 million in cut that we were not aware of, which for the county of Rockingham, just we had $2 million in cuts in FY12 that were supposed to be non-recurring. Those cuts are staying. So for providers in Rockingham, they took a cut in FY12. They're taking a cut with the discretionary money that we're having to hold back, and now they're taking a cut with this federal funding that is being reduced. So any funding that we could get from a loan standpoint, it will not go to our admin, it will not go to pad our fund balance, it will go right back into the services that are delivered here in Rockingham.
So, do I still have the floor, Mr. Chairman?
You do.
Okay, thank you. The $228,579, if that amount is granted, will that put you back in business?
It will not. It will help, but it is not going to replace $2 million that was pulled out of our catchment area in FY12, and it's not going to replace the 1.7 that was just recently put out.
What is this period of time that the loan is being requested for?
What we're requesting, that we've requested with each county, is that we would repay this loan over a period of 5 years.
Let me ask my county manager, is this an unusual situation for us to be entertaining?
No, especially not when the state's going through the cuts, and recently they've closed the doors to Dorothea Dix, and obviously in Rockingham County, we don't have any dead spaces for those who are needs to oftentimes occupy either our jail or they occupy our emergency rooms. So it's the dilemma that unfortunately they're facing, and it's a state cut. Fortunately, you've got a great Department of Social Services director who formulated, after hearing about this, have formulated a mental health focus group. On the 10th, they discussed the issue, they discussed the need there, and he's identified through non-county funds $150,000 that can go towards this loan. And if you wanted to fund the full amount with the additional $78,000, that would come from the fund balance, but it would be paid back over a 5-year period. But one thing that was discussed in this focus group is there has to be some type of measurable objectives. We, being staff, would not want to ask you guys to consider funding this if we funded the $228,000 without seeing some sort of positive outcomes. Because I'm sure once you felt the crunch from the budget, cuts were made with services, and you all received calls just as well as I did. And staff in the focus group and those who participated wanted some sort of measurable outcomes. If we allow this loan of $228,000, then there's some sort of measurable outcomes that we can see, and that obviously makes good business sense for the county, so that when you make a loan, you don't have the same product you had before you make the loan.
I see. My final question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Manager, assuming we're going to go forward in good faith and try and grant this request, and I'm sure if it is, it'll be wrapped up in a nice, neat legal package. How soon do you think this kind of, how soon may we address this and have it ready?
If I may, ask Mr. Johnson how long it would take to free up those funds.
They're already in your fund balance.
Short period of time.
June 30th.
So all you need is the direction to go forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Bass. Commissioner Flint?
Gosh, don't even know where to begin. Thank you for being here tonight, presenting the information to us. It's good to know that once again our resident magician, Mr. Johnson, has been able to find some additional funds possibly, which will help with this problem. You explained roughly a while ago why the counties have different amounts. And I noticed Forsyth has about $1.5 million that you're going to be asking them to fund. Is that correct?
That's correct.
If they don't fund that particular amount, will that impact any of the services back here in Rockingham County?
No, sir. The discretionary funding that we get from each county goes for the services in that county from which that funding comes from. So if Forsyth doesn't, if they're not able to do this, then any impact on services will be contained within Forsyth County.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have more questions.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Flint. Commissioner Travis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Briggs, thank you for coming and talking to us. I got a couple questions. Let me make sure I'm understanding right. January 1st, you were coming to MCO, which that means you're entitled to get Medicaid recipients from the state. So you're expecting your fund balance to grow. Okay, so you're also wanting to go into a contract agreement for 5 years, which no figures have been said, how much you plan on paying back, what's your collateral? I mean, this is the taxpayers' fund.
It would be $45,000 a year. The collateral, we lease from you the mental health center, which in turn providers use to provide services.
Right.
That could be looked at as a collateral as well.
Well, the reason I brought that up is you don't know what the environment's going to be from a year from now, especially with elections coming up. I mean, you've already said yourself that federal government cuts you, the states cuts you. Only people that ain't cut you is the county. So, I want to make sure everybody keeps saying the state, but it's coming from federal government too. But what's to say next year it cuts you again?
Right. And one of the ways Davey and Stokes have granted the grant/loan agreement. And the way that they are handling the repayment is this year with their discretionary funds that they allocated to us, they took off the top the year one amount. So what they're going to do is each year they're going to hold back that yearly amount from our allocation to ensure that over this time period they will get paid. Another thing that possibly that we could do is, if we are in a position and things do turn financially, is to refund this, pay this funding back to the county quicker than 5 years. But right now we're asking for 5 years initially.
I mean, I think that with you asking the repayment plan, I think that's a bonus plan for the county. I mean, I understand, but you're talking about, you know, mentally challenged individuals, and I'm sure everybody on this board is very compassionate on that. You know, especially me, since I have relatives that are like that, and I, you know, it's just so much thrown at you. But trying to get my thoughts together. But one other thing. What's to say, you know, I've been getting emails from a lot of people, especially from our law enforcement. Mm-hmm. You know, they pick up an individual and they have to take them to mental health. And, you know, they sit there for sometimes days. Mm-hmm. And that's costing the county money for that deputy to be out there, and that's costing the county money when that citizen's not being looked over as that deputy on the streets. I think with one of my stipulations would be, if we give you a loan, I need that turnover rate increased. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree, and we would like to be able to increase that turnover rate. Unfortunately, that is a situation that we don't have any control over. What we are seeing is all emergency rooms are having waits. As more people need services, there are less beds to put these individuals for the care that they need. And with the closing of Dorothea Dix, the state has lost beds. So we're running out of beds for these individuals to go to.
I got a new jail for you.
Well, unfortunately, if you know, that's where people end up if they don't get the services. If they end up in the jail.
I really appreciate everything you doing, and you know, I really don't have a problem with helping as long as you know you're helping us.
Right.
And that's the way I look at it. It's a partnership there. Mm-hmm. You're really providing a service that right now the county can't provide, and I appreciate all you're doing right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Callum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rich, I realize that there's a lot of things that goes on that impacts what you're doing that's beyond your control. And what I'm alluding to is actually one of the things that does cost the most. It looks like it's substance abuse by people. They impact the whole program tremendously. To be able to reduce that impact back for whatever percentage and level you could do would greatly save the whole situation a lot of money.
Correct.
And a lot of this here goes back to the fact that it comes from a larger base than what you and I have here today, or the authority to exceed it, because it's not actually a county thing or state thing. It's actually a national problem that's coming into our state. So we're paying the price for this by looking at what we got right here, by abating the situation and actually the majority of the people trying to ignore it. And at some point in time, just as you have, we're all going to have to stand up and face the issue and do something about it. And we can't run away from the responsibilities that we have. And these things that you do, I see it's around $2,230,000 that we're spending right here now, and the impact of your program, from what I can see, that's costing us on substance abuse.
Right.
And that's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at the people we have right here, that it's impacting tremendously, and they have absolutely nothing to do with that whatsoever.
Right.
So it looks like to me, the real people in this country who really deserves the help is the ones that get the least of it, and the ones, as far as I'm concerned, the people who use substance abuse and abuse it themselves to create the situation is the ones that get the majority of the money. To me, that's a self-inflicted thing. It's self-inflicted to take these kind of situations And the people who said here, it's not self-inflicted, they couldn't help it, they couldn't prevent it. So, you know, it's just a shame that we put the most money in, to me, in the situations of things that look like to me that would be the least deserved. But we have to take it just as we see it. In your opinion, do you see any way or anything that could be done to the entire program, or how would you characterize it on what needs to be done to correct it?
Well, as the LME, well, we're mandated by statute that there are 3 disabilities that we have to serve. And our goal and our charge is to serve all 3 of those disabilities equally. One of the things that does impact that is there are quite a bit of federal funds that flow down from the state, from the federal government, that flow through the state that are specifically earmarked for substance abuse. And when that takes place, we have to put that funding towards that area, and we really don't have any discretion in that.
Then let me understand something. Then the federal government sends the money to the states to earmark it to you, and you target it in areas and refine on exactly where you spend it at.
If it comes in for substance abuse and it's federal block grant money, we have to spend it on substance abuse. We can't spend it on any other area.
Well, that fits exactly what I expect from something coming out of Washington, D.C. So, and that is no joke. I'm not surprised at that one bit. But I want to thank you for the work that you do and for all of you and the case that you have and the responsibilities that you carry.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for the support that you give us each year.
Thank you, Mr.
Chairman. My colleagues have certainly covered a lot of questions that I had, and the thing that is important is what our county manager mentioned, is measurables. And I don't care who addresses it, but is there a way, you know, if we grant this loan, you know, is there a way that we can we'll see measurables on a quarterly basis?
Yeah, we would be, we're certainly open as Centerpoint of working with the county to define measurables that we can have an impact on. As we allocate funding out to our providers, we have measurables that we expect them to meet, and they report back to us. We have measurables that we have to meet that we report back to the state. This would be no different, and we would be certainly willing to sit down and dialogue with measurables that we can have an impact on.
And I would like to thank all of you and Larry and his group for finding some additional funds, or finding some funding in your budget. I guess it's worth some of the 100-some thousand, and actually we're going to pull out about, it should the commissioners agree with this, we would only pull out of our fund balance around 78,000, 79,000. About right? In rough numbers. Okay. And so at this point in time, are you looking for, how would you have,
I would, if you all see it fit and to fund the full 228,000, I would recommend that obviously the 150 come from the TANF funds that DSS has, the 78,000 come from fund balance, with the stipulation obviously the 5-year payback, and with the contingent upon a successful outcome or expectation from the mental health focus group. The sheriff serves on it, Reese Pearl serves on it, Larry serves on it. We've got a lot of good, excellent people who serve on it. So if you do fund it, I would recommend that you do a contingent upon they come up with some successful objective measurements. I think they're very capable of doing that. I think they could work with Kevin and Betty to make sure that they're obtainable objectives.
Exactly. Commissioner Travis, you got an additional question?
One more question. With us funding what you're requesting, that's going to help our citizens.
That's right.
The Rouse group and all that stuff, right?
It'll help here in this county, yes, sir.
And them funds can go directly to our citizens, not Forsyth County citizens or nothing like it, just Rockingham County citizens.
That's correct. It stays here.
Can we hear from Dr. Larry Johnson?
Sure, if you got some questions for Larry. You don't think you wouldn't get out of here without answering some questions?
I just wanted to see your face, Larry.
Well, I think the first question you're going to ask me is how I did that $150,000.
Exactly.
And I can explain that. Lance and I talked about, there's always been a rule in the state about how we spent TANF funds. They're the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families funds. You get a big block of federal funds, and the county puts up about $1 million. And the rule has always been you had to spend the county money first, and then you draw down the federal money. Well, we were rolling along, trying our best to do it the way that we'd always done it. And about 30 days before the budget ended this year, we get a phone call, and they say, well, listen, guys, you can go ahead and spend the federal money, and you don't have to spend that TANF money. So I told Lance, we sat down and figured out we had about I think it's about $150,000 that we would have had to spend, and we didn't have to spend it. Of course, it's in your fund balance. I mean, that's your decision to take it, because it left me and went back into your fund balance, but it's only been there for about a month. But it was one of those just a quirk kind of things, and that's how we ended up with that money. And so when we started talking about this, I said, well, I think we got some money, and I worked with Debbie and my staff, and they identified that was about how much had gone back into the fund balance. So I hope I'm not doing crazy math here, but I think that was it's legitimate.
Well, Larry, I just want to tell you, again, you and your staff are doing an excellent job with taking care of this county and helping the county out in the situation too. I appreciate it. The other question I have, I guess, is through all the talks, you're okay with this plan of loaning? You're fine, you and your staff, y'all are good with it. Do you see anything that you can add, probably what the county manager said about the stipulations?
Well,
you was in that study group.
I was a part of the group. We gathered a group last Friday, and I was just really pleasantly surprised what a great turnout we had. Law enforcement was there. We had ER folks. We had all kinds of folks that came around the table. And of course, we all were frustrated because of the cuts that we've had. And really, the part of the discussion here is the state has been cutting at a time when the needs are going up, which just makes no sense. That's where we are. But I think that group identifies some priorities, and I'll be glad to share. I think Lance has got a copy of them. But I wanted to just say that I think we made a very good decision back around 2008, I guess it was, that we joined forces with Centerpoint. That was one of the smartest things I think we did. They brought in Umar. Umar really saved this group, and I think we owe Centerpoint a good bit for the things that they've done for us. They brought a level of professionalization I think we really had not experienced quite like that, and it's really been a great working relationship. And I feel like the relationship's been strained a little bit because I think we just didn't know. We're a poor county. We're a tier 1 county, and we're trying to come up with that's a pretty good bit of money. So, if we can kind of smooth everything and get everything back on track like it was, I think it'd be a good thing.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it.
Yeah, please, Commissioner Callum, got one follow-up question for you.
Larry, with all due concern, the state implemented these cuts and mandates on sending them down to us. They did it as like a hatchet job. Was there any anticipation from anybody on any level that this was going to happen, it could happen, and it was going to come our way, and the impact that it was going to produce? is so that we could have been more prepared for these kind of things? And if that is the case, then do we need to start now to anticipate what the state may do to us next year so that we can have ourselves in line so that we won't be impacted like this?
Well, I think
Can we look to see what possibly if we can judge the past and use it for the future?
I don't think Centerpoint needed okay.
Because I would love to see
Listen, they're a lot more tuned in than we are. They do. And,
well, I think, if this is going to be something we can anticipate, then I think we would be foolish not to be prepared for it and to plan for it. That's the way I see the way to do business, so that the people that it serves are not impacted in an adverse way. So that, so we can look to take care of this situation, so that they don't impact it.
Well, I think we're all facing the possibility of cuts. I think, even DSS has been pretty well spared over the years, and a lot of things are out there on the horizon that are very scary. And, and I know if they're going to cut DSS, I'm sure mental health won't be spared, and I'm sure everybody else won't be spared, but I think it's just sort of, it's where we are, it's where we find ourselves, and I think that's why we've got to do things smarter on the local level and make sure that we're doing it the best we can do it.
I think we do a lot of things a lot smarter on the local level than they ever thought about on the state and national. But listen, I appreciate what you've done and the work and the help that you've put into this. And you've made a great contribution to help the county and what you have just done today, okay? And I want to thank you personally for doing that.
Any other, Commissioner Flint's got a comment.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to, Larry, I was glad to hear you mention about the professionalism that we've experienced through Centerpoint and Dave Martin. When I came on this board 4 years ago, one of the first problems that hit this board was a previous LME that we were dealing with. I think I've got my letters in the right order. And it was costing this county, if I recall, something like maybe about $1 million a year.
1.2.
Yeah, $1.2 million a year. We made the decision at that time to go with these folks, and to my knowledge, I'm not aware of any blips in any of the organizations and operations that we've experienced during this time. So I think the county is very fortunate to have Centerpoint working with us on these problems, and I think it certainly behooves the county to work with them as much as possible. So thank you very much.
I certainly will agree with Commissioner Flint, and seeing that there's no other questions, I would assume that we could entertain a motion to agree with the 5-year loan for the requested amount of $228,579, with 78 coming out of the fund balance, and our attorney working with our county manager and UMAR or our Centerpoint to come up with a contract with measurables and agreeing to such terms.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion, the county manager's recommendations.
Okay, I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second, sir.
I have a second by Commissioner Callum. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. So you all can go ahead with that. At this time, we've all been sitting here about 2 hours, and we need to have about a 5 or 10 minute break. So if you would, let's take a 5 or 10 minute break, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Glenn.
Seems to be everybody's ready to continue, and I'll call the meeting back to order, and we'll go to item 11, which is Glenn Martin, the Director of Public Health.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I bring to you tonight a resolution from the Rockingham County Board of Health requesting your consideration and adoption of a local ordinance to prohibit smoking and the use of tobacco products inside or within 50 feet of the Department of Public Health, and to prohibit smoking inside and within 50 feet of county-owned buildings with the exception of designated smoking areas. As a county government, we are committed to protecting and promoting the health and safety of our residents. In today's global economy, we cannot thrive as a community without a healthy and productive workforce. It saddens me to say that in the 2012 county health rankings, Rockingham County ranked 98 out of 100 counties in the area of health behaviors. Each of us in this room tonight know that we are better as a community, and we must begin a community transformation to rebuild ourselves into the community that we envision for our children and future generations to come. The Board of Health's concern is the dangers associated with exposure to secondhand smoke. They are well documented. There are no safe levels of exposure to secondhand smoke. It is similar to mainstream smoke inhaled by the smoker in that it is a complex mixture of many chemicals, including formaldehyde, cyanide, carbon monoxide, ammonia, and nicotine. Many of these are known carcinogens. The large body of evidence documenting that secondhand smoke exposures produce substantial and immediate effects on the cardiovascular system indicates that even brief exposures could pose significant acute risk to older adults and those at high risk for cardiovascular disease. In practice, Rockingham County government buildings are smoke-free. In reality, our citizens and their children often inhale secondhand smoke before gaining entrance to our facilities. This is very common at the entrance to the health department, where clients and patients smoke just outside our main entrance. Why pass an ordinance? To better protect our citizens accessing county facilities from the dangers of secondhand smoke, to model good health practices for our residents and to improve our level of health as a population. And due to the importance of this issue, the North Carolina accreditation standards for local health departments now require that health departments make an official request to the Board of Commissioners to restrict tobacco use within 50 feet of all health department facilities. Just wanted to share with you briefly, I know a logical question is, well, what are other counties doing in other units of government within our county? Okay, 75 counties have smoke-free or tobacco-free government buildings. 10 of these implemented comprehensive rules or ordinances applicable to all county and municipal buildings prior to 2009. 214 municipalities have smoke-free or tobacco-free government buildings. 46 municipalities and 20 counties are regulating smoking or tobacco use around local government buildings. This kind of shows a map of North Carolina, kind of indicating those counties that indicate that they have local restrictions within their county buildings, which would be either a comprehensive Board of Health rule or a comprehensive county commission ordinance. When we look at what are the Rockingham County municipalities doing, 3 Rockingham County municipalities, Eden, Mayodan, and Wentworth, have no smoking or tobacco-free facilities. Eden has a policy for tobacco-free buildings and vehicles for employees and the public. And of course, there are some designated smoking areas that are provided, and also some exemptions when it comes to some of the vehicle use. Eden also adopted a resolution establishing a smoke-free policy at the city's parks and recreation facilities for employees as well as the public. Mayodan is the only city or town with a no smoking ordinance in our county. It's for its employees and the public in buildings and vehicles. Wentworth has a policy for tobacco-free and no smoking buildings and vehicles for employees and public. A smoking / tobacco use area is allowed outside the building and away from the doors and entrances. You know, one of the things when we look at tobacco signage, obviously there is a cost to that when you look at the number of government buildings that Rockingham County has. We do have the ability right now through some federal funding that the state has received and has been passed to various regions of the state. In our particular region, which consists of Caswell, Guilford, Alamance, Orange, Durham, Person, and Rockingham counties, we'll have available $400,000 over each year for a 5-year period. So it's $2 million to kind of address some major focus areas such as tobacco-free living, active living, healthy eating, and improving some of the clinical preventive measures. And so some of these dollars will be able to be used for signage. So we've already submitted a proposal. We've got price estimates. I think the county, our engineering and public utilities, they are purchasing some equipment to be able to make the signs, and we have got the cost estimates on the blanks, I think the vinyl, and also the post, and we could all pay for all of that through this federal grant that the money is available for. So, and the signage could virtually be at minimum cost to the county. Too, when you look in our community, of course our 2 hospitals, they are smoke-free. Their campuses are smoke-free. Rockingham Community College buildings and campus are smoke-free, and our Rockingham County schools, all schools and campuses in Rockingham County are smoke-free. And so this particular slide shows the existing signage that is in place at those various locations in the county. And then if we look in, well, what would some potential signage look like for us? And so we've, Tara Martin, one of our health education specialists, has designed a little graphic here that could show what some of our signs could look like, such as Rockingham County government welcomes you to our smoke-free zone. Smoking is prohibited in county buildings and within 50 feet of county buildings. And then, like for the health department, it is not just enough for us to be smoke-free. We have to also be tobacco-free. So for that, it would be a little different signage for the health department. And all of this is kind of contained in the draft ordinance that you have before you for your consideration. And I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have at this point.
Okay. Glenn, let me ask the commissioners. Commissioner Bannick, you have any questions?
Yes, just one question. I think this is an excellent program, and I'm certainly supportive and in favor of it. I'm just thinking, how do we, is there a concern about enforcing it? What happens if someone violates this?
Well, like most things, you are seeking people's cooperation, and I think for the most part you will have a cooperative. It's just a matter of education that I think it's just like, well, what did we do with restaurants? When a couple of years ago in North Carolina, the legislature restricted smoking in our restaurants. And, you know, there was all sorts of concern that you know, oh, this would harm business and that type of thing. Well, it didn't.
Right.
It didn't, because, and I think, you know, and people have been very respectful. We've only had just a few complaints, I think, that Ted's staff has received regarding smoking violations in our restaurants, and so it's, I don't think that's really going to be an issue. And at most, this is a kind of a citation type thing that a law enforcement officer could issue the citation, but I don't know that we would really have that issue.
For the most part, it would appear to be that our employees would police themselves and certainly speak to someone who may be in violation.
Right, and you know, the main thing we want to be is through our signage, through our education, is just let people know that, you know, we really do not allow smoking, you know, at our entrances to our buildings. If you could, you know, observe in a designated smoking area, but not right where our children and you know, our public have to enter our facilities.
Thank you. I'm very supportive of the program. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Bass. Commissioner Flynn?
Just to, and I think Glenn's already alluded to it, but we, the health department and the committee reviewed this statement, what, about a month ago now?
I think it was in June, I believe.
Unanimously passed it and supports the resolution that is in front of us tonight. I think the only question that came up was about the cost of the signs, and I think Glenn has adequately answered that tonight. So it's something that probably this county never thought we would ever see, but things change. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Commissioner Travis?
Thank you. Glenn, I just got a question. I think we already have rules on not smoking in vehicles already. I mean, not vehicles, but buildings. But so what has brought this up that we have to do it now?
Well, part of it is with the health department accreditation, that that's a requirement that we make an official request to the Board of Commissioners, and it is a 50 feet smoke-free radius around the health department facility. That you know, we do have a lot of children and families and people that have severe respiratory issues using our facilities, and so, you know, for them to have to go through, you know, the smoke to be able to gain access to the building. And then I think it was just a logical point in time that you look at, well, what about the public library? You know, and I think this is probably a complaint that they receive from patrons all the time, that, you know, their children and their families are having to you know, inhale the secondhand smoke to gain entrance to the facility.
Well, I mean, I understand 50 feet away from public health facility, but you're including all county buildings. And that's where I got an issue with. I don't have no problem with 50 feet around public health. I don't have no problem with posting signs in front of public health. But every county building, every single county building, you know how many county buildings we own?
I think on the sheet we had probably 75, but I don't know all of them are really occupied.
So I know. So why wasn't this strictly to meet your credentials? Why wasn't it strictly 50 feet around public health? Why has it been added every county building?
Well, you know, obviously the charge of the Board of Health is the health of the residents, and, you know, I think the scientific evidence clearly shows there is no safe levels of exposure to secondhand smoke.
Well, I mean, you pull up a library, you're less than 10 feet from the door. You pull up the sheriff's department, you're 20 feet from the door. So as soon as they pull down the road, they got to stop smoking. That's pretty much what you're telling me. I think we're going overboard with the not smoking areas. I think, you know, that's just my thought, Glenn. I mean, I agree with you not smoking in buildings. I agree with you not smoking around public health. But and I do agree that maybe we shouldn't smoke around county buildings, but 50 feet, pretty good ways.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, because I remember back last year when the accreditation site visit team came, the first thing they did when they started touring our facility was they went to the front door and they stepped out 50 feet, and they were out in the center of our parking lot. You know, the health department's the same situation, that to be 50 feet from the health department, you're going to have to be out in the center of the parking lot. And I think that's what you're really asking people to do is once you step out of your vehicle, just don't light up as you go to the building.
Well, I mean, pretty much what you're saying is no smoking on any county-owned property. Why didn't you just say that instead of 50 feet? I mean, what?
Well, I think the issue, and that is, and you know, as the board was considering that, and talking with others that had the tobacco-free campuses, I think if you've went by some of the hospital facilities at various times, or you've went by some school campuses, you may be on the edge of the highway and you've got a group of people assembled, you know, smoking a cigarette. And again, you know, with the health department being in the health and safety business, we don't want anyone to be injured or hurt, whether it's being through that or being run over by a car because they're at the edge of a property. So that was the reason for that.
Okay, let's talk about your smoking areas.
Mm-hmm.
You've got one right back here, less than 50 feet from the public health department. So are we going to have to move it?
It's not from the public health department. It's more than that.
Of the public health department.
You're talking about the one out the back. No, that's well more than.
So now at every county building, are we going to have to provide a designated smoking area for every county building now?
Well, I think it just gives the flexibility to look at that, you know, as to, you know, should one be established or not.
Pretty much saying,
yeah,
we don't have a smoking area.
Because I think like in our courthouse that was just built, I think the decision was made there to have those designated smoking areas. And I think those are located at least 50 feet, aren't they, from those entrances?
Well, are we saying from the entrance, or are we saying from a building?
For the health department, it would need to be the building.
Right. So
yeah. The other facilities, I think, is
says building.
Yeah.
So you put a perimeter around a building 50 feet. That's what you're telling me you don't want smoking there?
Well, for the health department, I'd have to. Is that the exact way the language reads for the other county facilities? Let's see, smoking is prohibited inside the building within 50 feet of a county building. Yeah, so it does say 50 feet.
Are you requesting that it's just 50 feet from the entrance? Or are you saying you want 50 feet around the whole building?
I think the way the ordinance was written was 50 feet on the building, because if you've got windows and you've got air intakes, you know, I think that was the consideration there too, that if you're, you know.
I mean, who judges how far? I mean, 10 feet too far? 50 feet too far? I mean, who comes up with these figures? It just seems like to me it's just some type of a way to prohibit something or an agenda item to get passed. I mean, I have no problem with no smoking in entrances. I have no, if you want to say 50 feet from the entrance, I have no problem with it. But, you know, you've got some employees in this county, you know, that work at the library probably smoke. Or you're going to make them do like Moses Cone and walk all the way across a blooming street to smoke before they can come back to work?
Honestly, I wouldn't mind that at all, sir.
Who's going to pay for their time doing that?
Fair city break time built into the county policy, that's what they can use. Other than that, I would say no, sir.
But I mean, I think Glenn understands exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not being against your smoking. You know, I understand it. It's just, I think, where do you draw the line of going too far? Let's go ahead and say the whole county is non-smoke free. I mean, you gotta, let's be common sense here now. I mean, I'm sure the public's not gonna be on the backside of the jail. Might be some sheriff deputies out there want to take a quick smoke break. I mean, are we gonna build a 50 feet radius around it and build smoking areas back there for them? I'm just trying to be logical about it. I mean, you see what I'm saying, County Manager?
Mr. Chair, just keep in mind, this is just a draft. It has to go for a public hearing, has to go through that whole process. So any concerns that you have, give those to me, and I'll pass it on to Glenn so he can talk to his board and maybe make some adjustments.
I mean, Glenn, my suggestion is I have no problem from any entrance of any county building. I have no problem with that. I really don't. But you're gonna be posting signs at entrances as soon as they pull in the parking lot. So where you gonna, we got problems with cigarette butts now. They're gonna be throwing them all out there too. Then. So I'd much rather have an area where I got a smoking can there where they can dump it as they're approaching the building instead of, dumping it somewhere else. I mean, I agree completely with you on the public health. I just think we need to look at the building part. I mean, and maybe look at the distance. I mean, I think 50 feet from an entrance is great. I can maybe deal with a little more footage, maybe less footage on and around the building part. I understand what you're talking about, windows, but I just want some common sense here. I don't want to go crazy. Because somebody, that's all I got to say.
And I think the way that the ordinance was worded allows some flexibility along those lines. It says, I think, on the except where designated smoking areas are. Now, the designated smoking areas cannot be within 50 feet of the health department. But I don't think, Bob helped me with this, that I think it gave some leeway as to where those designated smoking areas were, that it could be less than that, I think, at some facility. Was that not the way that was worded in the ordinance?
Yes. And I believe that would be the case with the one near the sheriff's office. It's certainly within 50 feet of the building.
Yeah.
But the way it's phrased is that you do have the flexibility to designate areas as you see fit, as long as you're not encroaching on a hard rule around the health.
We did want to
have
have
a hard rule, but is the 50 feet around a building a hard rule too? Because that's in the ordinance.
Well, but the way the ordinance is where is that with the exception of designated smoking areas, and I think there was it says on the it says the county may allow smoking in specific designated areas as long as those areas are located at least 50 feet from the entrance to a health department facility. Designated smoking areas shall include signs stating that purpose. So we understood some of your concerns there and wanted to have, a document that has some flexibility in there, because you're exactly right. All these facilities built years ago, they're all different design features, and parking comes up to the front of the buildings, and so it's hard to craft something that fits everything, but we tried to build some flexibility into it.
Thank you,
Commissioner Callum?
Thank you, sir. Glenn, the way the ordinance is written, and I sit here and looked at it, it actually has both of them in it. It has both statements. Under the one you just read, it says 50 feet from the entrance to the health department facility. And if you look right below it under signage, under A, it says states that smoking is prohibited in county buildings within 50 feet of county buildings, to include the universal and no smoking symbol. Okay, you're stating the entrances as well as the building itself. So that's an issue that you need to clarify and go back to in that as factors. And I agree with Commissioner Travis as far as the entrance to the buildings and things and stuff like this concerned. I think they should be free and clear of anyone in that area, so that no traffic has to be impeded by anyone else smoking. I agree with that, and they don't need to be compromised or the health in any way due to that factor. So I think that's something you need to look at and to go back to the book and re-clarify that one situation. The enforcement of this ordinance and the way it's going to be written, I don't think we have I don't think we have enough deputies in the county, enough people sworn that's going to be able to stand up there in all the buildings we have in this county and enforce it. So from what I can understand and read, the enforcement of this is going to be documented and back to the people, or back to the person that's in charge of that facility. They will be the one to enforce it. And they will be the one to actually go out and let the person know, whoever, or people, or the persons that they are now in violation. And if they take it in a drastic manner, then it'll be up to that person to call the sheriff's department for them to render assistance in this matter. And I think we'll need to figure out a way to work more closely with our sheriff's department in the future to let them know that this situation is coming down, because they might need additional manpower under the thing that we're getting ready to get into. But I do believe that the correct signage and things that you have alluded to will help. And you might even want to bluff your way through a few things and maybe put a sign out there and tell them that there's a camera in use in the area. It might be inside the building or on top of the other side, but...
I think we do have cameras out here, so we probably wouldn't be bluffing with it.
Not in this area you wouldn't, but I don't think the other facilities have that. So you might want to try that as a suggestion. But overall, I do commend you for what you've done and the work that you've done to putting this together. I think it'll be well received. I am concerned about the impact of the employees that we here in our county, to make sure that they do have the rights to go out and do what they need to do, and to be able to do this in a specific area, a designated spot or something of the choice, so that they can take care of the business, what they need to be done. The people that's out in the parking lot, as you alluded to, will be getting out of their vehicles and things, and know that they need to take care of this matter before they get any closer. That will come over a period of time. It'll take time to implement that. I don't know how much time you've allowed for this, whatever, but you probably are going to need to put somebody outside, stand out there for a few days and say, listen, ladies and gentlemen, you're coming in, you can't do that anywhere near this building. You need to stop and think about this. It might take you a while to do that, and I don't think the same people would visit us once in a month. So I don't know how long it would take for this to take place, and I'm sure you have. But thank you for your use, and thank you for what you've done, and to look at it, because you're on the right road, and we just haven't got there quite yet. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I've heard more about smoking sign tonight than I ever would have thought I would in 50 years. But we can use common sense, or we can get sand and get a guy on top of the buildings with a sniper rifle and a bean bag, and try to shoot a cigarette out of their mouth or whatever. Which putting signage up, and I've been to a lot of public buildings throughout the state, and you put signage up and stuff like that, people do respect that. You don't see that many people abusing it. I can't remember the last time I saw somebody abusing it. People do respect that smoke, and I think it's excellent. We may need to fix our wording up a little bit to address it, but we still got to have a public hearing and so forth. And saving money and not costing Sam a lot of money, I don't think we need snipers or nothing like that yet. But I think just common sense and putting it where we all do, I think it's a good thing. As far as it goes right now, where do we need to take this, county manager?
Any questions you have or concerns, just shoot them to me and I'll give them to Glenn and he'll take them back to his board for one more discussion, then we'll bring it back to you all. I don't think it's a big rush as far as accreditation. I just think that that's one thing they have to check off their list. So if you have any concerns, shoot them to me, I'll get them to him. His board will review them and we'll bring them back to you all for a public hearing in maybe sometime in September, if that's okay.
Okay. One thing that would be useful to us is, like many funding sources, there's a window of opportunity, and I believe these particular funds that we're trying to utilize, that they're going to have to be spent by the end of September, and so that was one reason we looked at just buying raw materials, the post, the metal metal what? What do we call it?
The sign backers that has vinyl leather.
Yeah, that we would buy the raw materials that would be necessary and then have those ready for when we were ready to move to the next step. So, you know, if you feel like that we would be okay to go ahead and at least get those raw materials while this grant funds are available, you know, we'll try to proceed in that way.
Chairman, I have no problem.
Do you want concurrence?
Just a concurrence would be fine with us.
Okay. Commissioner Bass?
I concur.
Commissioner Callum?
I do too, I concur.
Commissioner Flint?
Agree.
Commissioner Travis?
I have no problem buying material.
And I certainly don't have no problem.
Thank you.
That's about it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn. It's been entertaining.
To say the least.
Mr. Tate?
Quickly.
Mine's probably not as entertaining as that, but you have before you tonight a copy of the Rockingham County Local Water Supply Plan. North Carolina Department of Environmental and Natural Resources require that local governments operating a public water system to update and provide them this information every 5 years. The updated information is given to the Drought Management Advisory Council. They, along with other local, state, and federal agencies, use the update to improve the management and mitigation of the harmful effects of drought. This information is also provided to the U.S. Drought Monitor, the Environmental Management Commission, the Environmental Review Commission, and to the general public. North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources considers the local water supply plan compliant upon the Board of Commissioners passing the water supply plan resolution before you. And I'll answer any questions.
All right, I'll go through them right quick. Commissioner Bass?
I have no questions other than, just let me ask you, Mr. Manager, does this require public hearing as well?
It does not, no, it's just act of the commissioners.
Good, great, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Flint?
No questions.
Commissioner Travis?
No questions.
Commissioner Callum?
I'm fine with this, sir.
And I don't have any questions at all, but for the record, if you would, since you want us to adopt this resolution, would you go ahead and read it for the record, please?
I'll be happy to. Pretty quick. It's going to say Resolution for approving local water supply plan. Whereas the North Carolina General Statute 143-3551 requires that each unit of local government that provides public water services or plans to provide such services shall either individually or together with such units of local government prepare and submit a local water supply plan. And whereas required by the statute in the interest of sound local planning, a local water supply plan for Rockingham County has been developed and submitted to the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners. Whereas the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners finds that the local water supply plan is in accordance with the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 143-3551, and that it will provide appropriate guidance for the future management of water supplies for Rockingham County, as well as useful information to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources for the development of a state water supply plan as required by statute. Now therefore be it resolved by the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners of Rockingham County that the local water supply plan entitled PWS ID number NC 0279050 Rockingham County, dated August 14, 2012, is hereby approved and shall be submitted to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Divisions of Water Resources, and be it further resolved that the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners intends that this plan shall be revised to reflect changes in relevant data and projections at least once every 5 years or as otherwise requested by the department in accordance with the statute and sound planning practice.
All right, at this time I'll entertain a motion for adoption of the resolution.
Move for approval of the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion for approval of the resolution by Commissioner Flint, seconded by Commissioner Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Thank you, Mr. Tate.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Calloway.
The first item I have is budget amendment, budget change form for the BizTech methane gas project. not the project, but the operations. It's the estimated revenues that the methane gas is expected to generate and the budget appropriations for those revenues.
Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Commissioner Bass?
No questions.
Okay, Commissioner Plant?
No questions.
Commissioner Travis? No questions. Commissioner Callen?
No questions.
And I have no further questions. So at this time,
You want a motion for approval of the budget revisions
yes, I need more.
for the estimated revenues generated from the methane gas operations?
Yes, I do need a motion.
There's your motion.
All right, got a motion made for approval of the budget revision. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Flint. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. All right, so passed.
Okay, the second item that I have is a final resolution that we need your adoption on for the Madison Maydan Library project. This item went for the Local Government Commission last week. It did pass. We are set to close on the financing part of this tomorrow morning. This is a final resolution that you need to adopt, just agreeing that for us to move forward with SunTrust Bank at the financing agreement that they provided to us. I will say that right now we're set at $1,250,000 is what the documents say. We anticipate just borrowing $1,100,000 tomorrow. Each of the towns have received a donation of $75,000 each. That is reducing the amount that they need to borrow. So we're going to go ahead and reduce the overall borrowing by that $150,000.
Okay.
I just got a question.
Let's see if there's any questions. Commissioner Travis?
I just want to know if Michael's sweating in case we don't approve this thing.
I'm letting Patsy on this one right now. But I'll be crying later.
I have no question.
Okay, Commissioner Bass, have
No questions.
Commissioner Callen?
Just one question. Did all the parties concerned in the county, all the different municipality body, did they all make their obligations to this plan?
Yes, we have all the local agreements in place. They both went before the local commission as well. They received their blessing and their approvals to proceed with their local agreements. So we're all ready to roll.
So all parties have come together?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Plant?
No questions.
Okay, and I have no further questions, and if you would, as Mr. Tate did, and for the record, would you, can you read that?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, you want to use mine?
Let me read it. Want to go? I'll read it.
Mr. Chairman, do we really need to
We need to
read this thing?
Well, I tell you, Commissioner Flynn, it's awful long. Can we just submit it with the record?
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay, let's just do that.
Mr. Chairman,
That's one of the longer ones.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the resolution approving the proposal to provide financing for the installment financing contract for the libraries in the Madison Maydan Public Library System.
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion for approval of the adoption. I have a second by Commissioner Travis. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, but we do need to change in the resolution the $1,100,000.
That's where we're going to leave everything as a not to exceed $1,250,000. That's where the documents have been drafted.
Okay.
But our actual closing will only be $1,000,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All in favor of the adoption of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise? So carried. Now we're down to item 14. That would be Ben Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Each year we have our medical and dental and other benefit employee benefit broker, Wells Fargo, go to market to seek the best deals that we can get for employee and retiree benefits. We have a summary of their recommendations for this coming year. Wells Fargo has done a very good job for several years keeping costs down. This time we are extremely proud of the results. Those results include a 17.7% decrease from the current plan costs by moving our medical benefits from United Healthcare to Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina for active employees and retirees who are under 65. This includes the medical and the prescription plan. We also received a recommendation for moving our group dental plan to Cigna We will be self-funding the Cigna program for the dental insurance benefits for the employees pre-65 and post-65 retirees. We recommend keeping the Medicare Advantage plan for our post-65 retirees, renewing with United Healthcare. The Wells Fargo people were successful in negotiating that renewal down from 9% to 5%. Our group vision plan is recommended to stay with Superior Vision for active employees pre-65 and post-65 and retirees, with only a 2% rate increase, and there has been no rate increase for 5 years, more than 5 years. There's no change to those benefits. We're recommending having our federal flexible spending account, COBRA, and retiree billing done by Outsource One. These folks specialize in those services. There will be a $15,000 cost to consolidate those services, but it's well worth it in order to gain more convenience for the county and the employees and their dependents. So that is great news, and we hope that you will approve our move of business as summarized in the report you have before you.
Okay. On the savings, total savings, after paying out the $15,000, you got a rough idea of what the county saved?
The county's savings is about $780,000 annually, and the employee savings is about $160,000 annually.
That's great. That's a good job. Commissioner Bash, you have any questions?
No questions. I'd like to make the motion whenever you're ready.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
I do. I like this.
Okay,
Ben, I want
Commissioner
to tell you,
Powell.
I want to commend you for the work that you and your staff and everyone put together to make this all together possible. Today, we're offering a health benefit, we're offering dental plan, as well as vision plans and things right here for the employees and people. To me, that is absolutely spectacular that you're able to do this and do it at this rate and come down to these kind of prices. Somewhere or another, either somebody was in a bad situation, you call them at the right time and place, but however you instigated this and done this, I believe it should be well received by the employees in our county, and I think they should be able to reap the rewards of this and to recommend it to us. So I'm happy to recommend it and be part of it. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Bass, would you like to go ahead and make a motion for approval?
So moved for approval.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Callum. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. Now we're down to item 15.
Thank you.
County Manager, you got a handful of
Yeah, I've got several things. Hopefully, most of them are just information. First is a proclamation from Governor Perdue proclaiming August 2012 as Soil and Water Conservation Awareness Month. You have that in your packet. She wanted, slash state wanted that to be part of the minutes. I'm not sure if you want me to read that or if you want to just include those as part of the minutes.
I'll just include it as part of the record with our clerk.
Okay, proceeding down, I would ask that the sheriff and Mr. Bowles come a little further, so if you have any more questions on it. I know it was kind of a topic of discussion when we talked about it in the past, but this is in reference to the reverse calling that Code Red had provided the county in the past. We had several issues with Code Red, especially after we went into that 3 months extension. We weren't able to utilize the emergency services for extreme weather alerts. I asked Mr. Bowles to get quotes from what the surrounding counties were utilizing, and it ranged from $12,000 to $25,000 per year. Delta Alert was the lowest quote, so Mr. Bowles and I had a meeting with the representative and felt that was the appropriate vendor to recommend to you all for these services. They'll provide unlimited National Weather Service alert, unlimited administrative users, unlimited databases, unlimited contacts. The others have various caps in those areas. In this group, I guess, to get their foot in the door, they have provided a 2-year contract and keep it down at $12,000 per year. After that, the weather alert would cost an additional $5,000 per year if you guys decided to go with that. And the recommendation from myself and Mr. Bowles would be for you all to consider allowing us to proceed with the contract with Delta Alert. But I will turn it over to Mr. Bowles and the sheriff. I assume some of you may have some questions about the effectiveness and the need of it.
As Mr. Master advised, we did do extensive research on it, and Delta Alert right now appears to give us more bang for our buck. They're offering a lot more services than the others all combined at a lesser rate. The one thing that really stands out is the calling plan they have. It gives you an unlimited calling list, so that we can give the password out to multiple departments throughout the county, and they can set up their own call list for their employees. That way they can customize their calls to their employees, like send text messages or email alerts. And then also is the weather alert, which is based on a polygram that's issued by the National Weather Service. So if you live in Eaton and the National Weather Service puts out severe weather for that area, not everybody in the county would be called, it'd be just the people that lives inside that holograms there. So I think that Delta Alert will be our best choice.
Okay, I believe we've got a couple of questions. Commissioner Callum has a question for you.
Listen, can you give me an instance in this county or anything that you could allude to give me something that reflects back upon a real life situation or something with the people in our county? Exactly how does this situation fit and how does it justify the cost of it? How can I justify that cost?
About 2 months ago, they had a elderly lady wander off, was reported missing. She had medical issues, and within 30 minutes after doing a code red alert or emergency notification alert, the sheriff's department received a call locating this female. So, that was within 30 minutes. Most of our searches, and Sheriff, correct me if I'm wrong, they last several hours. So we actually save money by not having to have as many deputies on the road looking for, not calling in off duty, not calling in off duty paramedics or the fire marshal staff. And plus we save the wear and tear on you volunteers.
Thank you. Sheriff, let me ask you something. When you have a situation like this that impedes you, that you do have this type of emergency thing that comes up, how does this affect you? Exactly how does it impact your department?
Well, a lot of it depends on what the situation is, the event. Just like the one you cited, within 2 months, when we had, I know it was the code red at the time, it's a similar concept. But we need to get a message out as quickly as possible because this person, with a person that has Alzheimer's dementia, depending on weather conditions, some other consideration, medical condition, all these factors, time is essential. And what was fascinating about this was as soon as it was put out, within 30 minutes, we're getting a call from a lady within 10 miles from the location. Now, some people wander, they don't go very far. This person somehow got transportation, ended up within 10 miles of the residence, but in 30 minutes, the person was located. Now, this is the other justification. If that's my mom or your mom, and they get missing stuff, and they're out there in bad weather, cold weather, hot weather, people can die in those conditions, so time is of essence. Another example was, we had a big fire, kind of like you see out there out west. Well, we had a fire out there about the middle part of the county near the landfill, and it was could affect other houses. We had to manually get officers and first responders to go to the houses door to door to notify. With the system right here, I was asking John tonight, as a John, we got 55,000 citizens within just the county area. I said, how long would that take to notify 55,000 people roughly? And he said, about an hour. I can't do that. I don't have enough phone. We don't have enough operators and I don't want to do that. So again, you can target large, small areas. And it's got several additional services here that can help us. I have a 15-member SWAT team. We try to keep our response well within an hour when we'll have notification. With this system right here, it can notify a cell phone, it can notify a home phone. It's unlimited for texting and stuff like this. So a lot of stuff in my needs to get the message out quick. Plus another thing is if you want to get something out before the news, and I'm not trying to be part of the news people, but they're on schedule, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, something like that. Well, if I'm 4 hours before a news broadcast, but I can get something out quickly, depending on the weather conditions, my life may be a mistake, I can get it out within minutes versus hours. And hours can make a difference when it's 30 degrees and you have Alzheimer's, and you walk off, and you don't have enough clothes, really not adequate clothing, and it's raining, and you die of hypothermia. That can happen. That's real life. So it helps us to get that message out quick. But when the code red run out, the best example I can say, most recent, is when that person with dementia walked away with medical conditions, and a 30-minute process to count that person. And I consider that a success. If it saves one life, that's worth $12,000.
You're right about that. I'll tell you what. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
Mr. Bass, you got a question?
No question. Commissioner Flynn?
Yeah, this is a one-year contract. If we choose, are we tied in to for 2 years?
No, sir. The one-year contract is what they give us. They give us a 2-year contract on the free weather alert. So if we choose to extend the contract next year, we still get the free weather alert.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Travis?
Yes, sir. Johnny, I just want to tell you thank you for your Lance doing some research on this. I'm pretty sure about 4 or 5 months ago when this first was brought up, the people were probably pretty mad at me for griping about what the situation was. And I look now, this is a whole lot better system. You know, the old one didn't have weather alert, this one does, and that, you know, the texting and everything. This is a whole lot better system, and so just by doing a little research, you save the county about $9,000. So that was the whole point of just look what's out there. It's a whole lot more better systems out there, and I appreciate your hard work, and I hope you don't take offense to me jumping all over you for 3 or 4 months ago about it. Thank you, John.
The only thing that I would suggest, if we go into a 2-year contract, $12,000 a year, that's what we've got. That mid-year of our second year, there may be a new mousetrap out there at a cheaper rate, because I can see these guys, you know, once you get in, you know, they'll hit you up $5,000 on the weather, then they'll hit you for, well, you exceed so many calls or this, that, and the other. They'll slowly but surely work you up, but there's always other people in the business that we need to look at mid-year of our second year to see who else has got a better package. But I don't have any problem at all with it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for approval for a contract for 1 year with Delta Alert.
Is it a contract?
Actually, once you've gotten your package for 2 years, that commits us for getting that unlimited weather for 2 years.
Change it to 2 years, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, got a motion for approval for a 2-year contract with Delta Alert. Do I have a second?
I say so.
Second by Commissioner Callum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed likewise, so carried. Continue, County Manager. Thank y'all, by the way.
Okay, the next item, Sheriff, don't go anywhere. Mr. Tate, I'm just going to give you the preface for it, and then I'm sure the questions will follow. Currently, the county has no county-owned facility for deputies to qualify or practice using their weapons. We rely obviously on Eden and Reedsville and surrounding counties, especially Guilford County. I had a chance to go with the sheriff out there to their shooting facility. And it's oftentimes we have conflicts with scheduling. Deputies go out there. Sometimes they fall within schedule. Sometimes they have to get bumped from schedule. So there's conflicts at times. And again, we rely heavily on Guilford County, especially for our tactical team for long-range firing of weapons. The sheriff approached me and said, Lance, is there any way possible to look at possibly getting some sort of shooting range for our deputies? You know, it would save gas, it would give us an opportunity to be in control of our own destination and times for us to be able to utilize our own facility. So I met with Ronnie, our new Director of Engineering and Public Services, utilities, and he and I looked at a variety of different properties the county owned, and the largest piece that we had that we felt would have the least impact on citizens was at the landfill, and several concerns came up about, well, what about methane gas and other items that came up. We addressed those and put those to rest. In your packet, you do have a layout of what we're proposing if you all are considered going forward with it. Basically, the firing range will be firing into a hill. It is some distance away from, if you look at the picture, some distance away from any actual residential properties. Phase 1 would basically be the 100-yard range that would allow for pistols and rifle qualifications and practices. The cost would be minimal. Talked to Ronnie, and we could do a lot of the work in-house. The main cost for us would be materials, and we talked with the sheriff, and he could work with us on some of the federal forfeiture funds to help us get started and hopefully do phase 1 with minimal impact on the county fund. And then Phase 2 would be constructing the 500 yard range and that would be basically for our tactical team, and that wouldn't be as often as it would be for the use of the 100 yard range. And then the third phase would be the CQ, or close quarter practicing facility, and basically that's like what Guilford County has. It's close proximities where you're going through a maze and you're trying to anticipate things around the corner and so forth. So it's mainly for his tactical team. What we're looking for from you all is, number one, if you concur with the direction that we're looking at, and number two, if we can proceed with developing the appropriate measures to implement at least phase 1. And with that being said, I'm sure you've got plenty of questions, and the sheriff and Billy and Ronnie are here to address those.
All right, Commissioner Banks, you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to commend everyone who participated in this project, and thank you. Mr. Tate, in your opinion, obviously I'm sure you're in total agreement with this, all the safety factors are covered as far as you're concerned?
Yes, sir. The way I tried to position this on the drawing, and I have a larger drawing if you can't see it on your iPads, but the way that the topography of that parcel of land is, as Lance mentioned, it's on a plateau, but for the 500 yard range and the 100 yard range, which would have barriers, but the 500 yard range in particular is shooting downhill into the side of a hill that's 500 yards away.
And is there any residents near there or any?
The closest one from the 500 yard range is probably about 6,500 feet away.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Directly downrange.
Then what is it, my last question, what is the turnaround time on this phase 1? How soon do you think that could be implemented?
I would say probably 4 to 6 months, depending on the funding and some things, because a lot of the first phase will be some grading and things like that, so it'll be weather related and things, no delays. I would allow 4 to 6 months.
Okay,
I think.
and it will be usable at that point in time?
Yes, sir. What we're trying to do is get my understanding from the sheriff is they would like the 100 yard qualification range up, get it up and running, get it lighted so they can do night qualification also.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Flint?
This may sound like a crazy question, but is that area zoned?
We'd have to go through the zoning process, yes. We'd have to.
So you would have the ability for citizens in that area to come and speak their input, give some input on.
Yes, sir.
So you're asking really for us to look at just phase 1 and phase 2? Is that what we're asking for?
Just right now for phase 1, I think that will take some time to get that ready, because we have to go through, I think there has to be a text amendment and then a rezoning, so that would take some time to go through that process.
At the earliest, I think we're talking with Frankie, by the time it went through the process and got back to you all, if you chose to approve it, it would, I think, be in December, the December meeting.
So then we would start construction or earthwork after that. So phase 2 may be requested in next fiscal year's budget, but phase 1 is what we want to get started on if possible.
Well, I would certainly be in favor of phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. However, I would like to see some cost estimates.
Yeah, we'll certainly provide those. I think that we looked at the maximum cost for phase 1, and that's if we contracted everything out, was around, what was it, 58,000?
Yeah, I think that's close.
But that's looking at contracting everything out, realize that we could do the majority of that in-house. And so what you would look at with cost-wise would just be materials, and I don't know if we've gotten the exact number for the materials for the gravel and for the...
And some of this will come down to if you guys give us the go-ahead to try to proceed with this, is looking at getting some plans finalized with the sheriff and his people, as this is a sort of a rough draft right now. And I'd like to get some guidance from them on exactly how they want to tweak it and get it to what their specifications are, and do that. So that will affect the cost a little bit too. I tried to be, in thinking of the generalized cost, to be a little bit generous, so hopefully we would be under those.
You just pocketed 91,000 tonight, so you can use some of that, can't you, Sam?
Well, no, we don't. Didn't pocket it. It's going to be spent, but it's going to be spent for good need day.
Is that all, Commissioner Flynn?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Travis.
Thank you. Sheriff, let me ask you, phase 1 and 2, that's the majority of your department probably would utilize that, right?
Primarily.
That's for their training purposes and their qualifications yearly?
With the system in place, we could get some more training in, because we're doing right now is based at the minimum standard, which to me is very minimal.
What I'm saying is, looks like phase 3 would be additional training, but phase 1 and 2 is what is required from your sheriff deputies, right? And local law enforcement, Reasonable, Eden,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So let me ask you, why wouldn't you just go ahead and ask for the go-ahead green light to do phase 1 and phase 2, just come back and get us cost estimates for approval?
That sounds good to us. If we're looking to try to be cost efficient and get us by, but I mean, if the board's up for us to proceed with phase 1 and 2. Now, phase 3 is primarily, again, for his tactical SWAT team, I mean, I've seen them in action, and it is a superior thing to have, and that they can train here well. But 1 and 2, I mean, if that's,
I mean, what I'm saying is, 3 is a want.
Yeah.
1 and 2 is a need.
Definitely with the minimum standard, yes, sir.
That's what I'm, and
Yes.
I think we can look in the future for that phase 3. So if we do phase 1 and 2, then you can plan appropriately for what you want out there.
I'm sure.
That's my motion, Mr. Chairman, for approval of phase 1 and 2.
Well, probably got just a shade more discussion.
Well, you'll say all 4.
You don't want to just put the cart before the horse, do you?
Commissioner Callum, go ahead.
Sheriff, you alluded to just a minute ago about the federal forfeiture, some things that you was willing to contribute. I think that's very commendable, and I don't know to what respect you would want to do that, and I don't know whether you would prepare or in a situation to even to mention that now. But the board does think that, and I do personally. I think it's absolutely commendable of you to do that, and that will help minimize our cost and the impact back to the county in all respects. We can still provide you with what you need.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that in the future we'll be able to work together on this situation when we go to phase 3. And I do agree with Commissioner Travis on the implementation of this. I see absolutely no reason why not to do it. I mean, I think it could be done in a very constructive and serious manner, and I believe it would be concise to do it now, and we could also save money and implement it. And you also need that for the benefit of all your people. Well, the access to this will be coming in off of Roberts Road.
I believe it's Roberts. That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, the traffic in and out of that road down there, I don't know what your anticipated traffic will be for any one person or any one time, but you're not going to be down there every day of the week, so it's not going to impact the citizens or the people in that area.
That's correct. Even if we increase some qualification period for tactical training or individual tactical training, I don't see a whole lot of additional increase now.
Okay.
Definitely not every day.
All right. Tell me this, can you, I know you've alluded to it and told me the benefits and things from this. By not having this capacity in the county in the past at any one time for your department to do these things, where has your department been receiving this training at, and where have you been going to get this type of training?
We basically had to work with other people's schedules. The police department has been gracious to allow us to use their range of schedule provided, and also Reasonable recently allowed us to use some of their range time. Of course, we also have traveled to Guilford County to pick up the yardage, up to I think 500-yard range down there. But primarily we have to use other people's ranges, and we're at the mercy of their schedule also. And it also limits, like I said, we do their minimum level state training. I consider my guys not only the law enforcement officers, but they are the first level defenders here for this county, for the citizens.
And, when I put them out there with a pistol, a rifle, and a shotgun, I want to make sure they hit the mark if they have to use that deadly force, if it becomes necessary. And, once or twice a year is just really, that's minimum.
So, if you take, where you haven't sent your people out of county, we got that expense we have to justify.
Yes, sir.
And the time loss
And
of
the
that
time
loss
loss, yeah.
actually being out of the county.
Yes, sir.
Where you won't be able to use it. The only other thing I would like to suggest is that, and I'm not sure it would go along with Billy, but he'd make a good moving target, sir. And he's pretty from 500 yard range.
Sir, he moves a little quicker than you think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. I know that Mr. Tate and myself and James looked at this drawing and saw where actually the phase 2, which is a 500 yard portion of it, goes into a lot of wooded area and crosses a creek. Seeing that we could possibly timber off some of that and sell that timber off would be a way to cut the cost back. You got to do something with it. You got to clear it, and so you probably timber it off and pull some of those revenues as well. I see your biggest expense is basically the building and a little bit of leveling the lot, but we've got tools and equipment to be able to do that, and getting Duke Power to run a line down there, transformer. That'll be a big expense, but I'm certainly in favor of it. Once we get everything together, it'll be a very nice shooting range where all the departments may want to use it and be better qualified. So,
Or maybe the public.
I don't have any problem with agreeing to start both phases. Commissioner Bass?
Yes, if you finish, may I ask one question to the Sheriff? Obviously, I'm sure you must be incurring some kind of expenses now, moving around as you do. Do you have any idea which ballpark figure, it's costing you to do what you hopefully will be able to do once we complete this project?
I was pretty much relying on Mr. Tate and his rough estimates there. But I think if we, like it's been stated, if we do it within house as much as possible, we should be able to keep the cost down pretty well.
Right. No. Well, I was speaking of now. Aren't you incurring some costs now by going different locations?
Yes, sir. Fuel and hourly costs.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Fuel and hourly costs for the employees. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And of course, a lot of the time accrued, if we go over, it just goes into comp time.
Sure.
Also, which I mean, it's officer off the street.
If and when we complete this project, would the local law enforcement be able to utilize it? The Eden and Reedsville police?
Yes, sir. That would be my thought process. Because they've been a great partnership with us, and, during our time of need. Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I've already got a motion made.
Well, at this time, I'll entertain a motion. If you'd like to.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion for approval of phase 1 and phase 2 for the Rockingham County Sheriff's Department's shooting range.
Okay, have a motion for both phase 1 and phase 2.
Can you include with, I know it's a motion, but to be more specific, to proceed with finalizing phase 1 and phase 2, including going through the planning process with the text amendment and the rezoning?
That sounds good. What county manager says. You got that?
Okay, have a motion, a second by Commissioner Cowell. All in favor of the motion to proceed with phase 1, 2, and well as do the public hearing and go to the ordinance change, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. It's okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, Boyd, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Minister, thank you.
Well, don't go anywhere. We may still have one more question for you.
I have Billy.
Okay. Mr. Chair, Board of Commissioners, there's another item that the sheriff had asked that you all consider, and that is increasing the fingerprinting out of county for residents. Right now, it's $5 for in-county and out of county. And if you look at your comparison on your handout, most places charge either $10 for everybody or $10 for some, $15 for others. But what the sheriff has recommended is that we keep ours for residents at $5, but raise our out-of-county to $20, and hopefully that will balance out and offset some of the increase in costs that we continue to start getting. And action is requested if you see fit.
Okay, is there any questions from board members? I'll just look for a hand if you got questions. Commissioner
Quick,
Flynn?
who pays now for the out of county?
Whoever needs the fingerprints
Okay.
pays it. It's just that, you know.
So if Gillette County requested $20.
Yeah, if they're a resident outside the county, then they would pay a little more simply because, like I say,
That's all.
Commissioner Cowell?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's commendable to do that and everything, and especially the $20 fee for outside our county. Actually, I think that from what I've seen, what I've called a few counties around, that's actually a lot cheaper than other counties are charging. You're under them in all respects. If you added more to this year, added 5 or 10 to it, you would still be in the same level. You'd be back at their level.
Yes.
So I think the ability you're holding the signs and emphasis down very neat, and I commend you for that.
thank you.
The only question I have for either one of you is, once you arrest a guy from Pennsylvania County,
This is not for criminal, this is strictly for like civilians that have to have prints done for like either like a taxi license, ABC license, child care, concealed weapon, or anything that they come to us and say, I need to be fingerprinted for a daycare worker.
okay.
So it's nothing to do with the criminal
One
stuff.
system is in the jail, and the other system branches to the non-arrested,
Right.
which we're talking about.
Okay, I
This
just
is
want to
strictly
see,
public.
make sure that there's a,
yes.
see how this was, whether it was something
No.
that when you do, when you arrest them,
No, sir.
or this is just when somebody requests it.
Right, it's
A
strictly,
request for
it's
fingerprint.
strictly for the citizen and public who need to be printed for whatever reason. And we charge a fee to try to recoup some of the costs. If I say, the equipment and stuff is getting more and more costly to maintain.
I think 20's a little cheap, but I'll go along
It
with
is
it.
cheap.
It's what
Well,
y'all, it's what you asked for.
We haven't had an increase in, what, 15 years, so it's been $5 for 15 years, so we felt like it was time.
Way past time for that. But you've asked for a $20 increase in the fee for fingerprinting out of county residents. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion for approval.
All right, have a motion for approval to increase the fee to $20 in out of county fingerprint. We got a second by Commissioner Travis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. County Manager, continue on. Thank y'all.
The next item is a request for you all to adopt a resolution requesting North Carolina Department of Transportation to attach a signage recognizing Rockingham County for receiving Governor's Innovative Small Business Community Award to existing Welcome to Rockingham County signs. You have the resolution in your packet, and there's several whereases, but I'll read if you would like where.
You don't need to read it.
Okay, well, it's in your packet, and it's basically just requesting us to give attach those signs.
Yeah, there's a question that Commissioner Flynn has for you. Go ahead.
The signage coming up 29, coming out of Guilford County, is in a horrible state right now. Is there any way we can go ahead, these will be new signs, can we go ahead and just replace the current sign that's there?
Yes.
And add this new signage to it?
I will request that.
Thank you.
All right, with that being, is there any other questions?
Let me ask you, Mr. Chairman.
Go
The
ahead.
Small Business Award that was received by, I think, BizTech initiated this and did most of the work for that. Would it be uncharacteristic for us if we put Mark's picture on the sign?
I don't think they put pictures on the
Okay.
side.
Oh.
It'll be a good looking sign.
I just thought it was.
I make a motion for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion for approval of the signage for the government initiatives by Commissioner Travis, seconded by Commissioner Flint. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Now, continue on.
All right, the next is just 2 updates on the EMS building and the library. We've signed a contract with Mosley on the EMS building in the western part of the county. We asked they delete all the non-essential items. We wanted them to stay within the budget, obviously, that we had given them, which was $912,000, and they have confirmed that they would stay within those parameters. Hopefully it would be a lot less than that. The tentative schedule is construction documents by mid-October, bid opening last week in November, Commissioner approval or guidance at December 3rd meeting, construction starts mid-December, construction finished by July 2013. Maiden has shown an interest in attaching a bay to that facility for a fire truck, and if they do that, then obviously they'll pay for the additional architect engineering services and the cost of that construction. And we would add that as an alternate so that they know when they'll be getting into it, they have to go through it. Any questions on that?
Yeah, would that be something that we would rent out to them on an annual basis?
Well, they had discussed paying for that portion, but that's an option we could do.
Okay. Well, it's something that'll have to be discussed later anyway. Yeah. Is there any other questions?
Question, Mr. Chairman. There was some concern about the lot and the location of the building on the lot. Is that there?
We've got to move the sewer line, but that would be addressed. We'll take care of that.
912,000.
That would be within that scope, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? All right, continue.
All right, the next is about the library. Obviously, the LGC approved it. You all had approved financing tonight. We had a $250,000 funding through the McMichael Foundation to help fill the gap to make us meet our needs that we were lacking there. We have a pre-construction meeting on August the 15th, groundbreaking ceremony that our clerk had discussed with you all. It's on September the 5th. Construction will start 30 to 45 days right at that time, depending on the contractor mobilizing the workforce. Any questions on that?
Commissioner Flynn?
Just a comment. Would it be possible for this board to send a letter to the McMichael Foundation expressing our certain thanks and gratitude for what they have done to step up to the plate here?
I will get that taken care of.
I mean, that's just.
No, I think it'd be a good idea, Commissioner Flint, and then to have
give me some money too.
all commissioners' signature on it.
Okay.
All right, continue.
All right, the last item, this is required, it's the first reading, or the last item for this part.
Wait a minute, what's the nomination appointment?
You skip that one?
Yeah, I skipped that one because typically I do the appointments and committees at the last, but I'll go ahead and go to them and come back to that part. The Rockingham County Child Fatality Prevention Team, Community Child Protection Team, they're requesting that you appoint Karen Weddle with the Health Department and reappoint Stevie Peg Stevenson representing Health Incorporated, Sherry Lawrence with she's a parent representative, Tara Pierce representing Youth Services, and Heather Kilpatrick representing Partnership of Children.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, for approval of them for the Rockingham County Child Fatality Prevention Team.
Okay, I have a motion for approval of the appointments.
Second.
I got a second by Commissioner Flynn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. So carried. Continue.
All right, the next is the Library Board of Trustees. They're seeking your approval to appoint William Lee Jolly of Stoneville to serve a term which expires June 30th, 2015.
Mr. Chairman,
I got a question by Commissioner Travis.
Is this his first appointment, or how long has he been on the board?
This is his
First
appointment.
Okay, I second James Kellen's motion.
Okay, I have a motion made for approval by Commissioner Callan, second by Commissioner Travis. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Continue.
All right, the next item is a request from the planning board to reappoint Ronald Perkins from Reedsville and David Price from Stokesdale. They were alternative members and they were initially appointed April 25th, 2011. Two new appointments is David French from Reedsville and William Best II from Stoneville. Alternate member Ann Cunningham from Reedsville and Raymond Bruins from Eaton. Their term expires on October the 1st, 2013.
James, any questions?
One question, wasn't William Best already on that board at one time?
Frankie? Was William Best on the board at one time? You know that?
Okay.
I don't think so.
He was proposed. That's right. All right, do I have a motion for
Mr.
approval?
Chairman, if it be in order, I'll make the motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, got a motion for approval by Commissioner Callum, second by Commissioner Travis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Continue.
All right, the next item is no action required. It's required for us to be able to read it out. It's the first reading considering granting a 3-year extension to the solid waste franchise granted to Waste Management of Carolinas Incorporated to collect solid waste materials and recyclable materials. The board agreed with the franchise in September 2008 with Waste Management of Carolinas Incorporated. The 4-year of agreement is for review and renewal of the franchise now. Waste Management is required to provide all the insurance coverage, provide quality service and performance, collect solid waste with collection vehicles, provide local supervision, and comply with all state and federal regulations of operations of solid waste collection. They've been, based on our review, they've been fairly frugal with the way they've managed their system. They've only had an increase of 52 cents since 2008, since the last time you guys negotiated the contract, and that was basically on the CPI increase or tipping fee increases wherever they take their solid waste. The current rate is $12.44 per household in hand commercial establishments. After Ronald and staff had reviewed what their agreements were, they concurred that Waste Management's provided quality service for reasonable rates to the county residents. They have responded to county and customer concerns in a timely manner, have promoted the service collection service within the county, and they've also demonstrated service that complies with their requirements of the franchise agreement. And you all will have your first public hearing for the renewal on August 27th in Reedsville, but that was just information. I don't know if there are any questions.
There is a vote. Do need to approve it. On first reading, it does take 2 approvals under the general statute.
Do they have to vote on this tonight?
Yes.
But they have a public hearing.
It's not final until you have the public hearing, which is scheduled for August 27th.
Okay,
So it would not be approved until after you approve it the second time. And there is a provision in what's being offered to, it's open to do more with recycling.
Okay. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, I have a question.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, Commissioner Flann.
You brought this to our attention, I think, back in February, March, somewhere in that particular, and at that time you were under the impression that it included recyclable. They picked it up, and you were going to go back and talk to them and negotiate further.
We did talk with them. It was $2. They were going to make it $2 mandatory per provider, per customer. And we're still in negotiations with them as we speak. What we'd like them to do is to allow recycling for all users or customers, and that they, if they're willing to, that they absorb half the cost, $1, half that cost, because they will make profit off the recyclables, and then the county through its landfill fund balance compensate for the other dollars. So you're looking at $5,000, $6,000 a year, but it's well worth it and if it continues to improve, then we could make other arrangements with them.
So their customers will or will not have to recycle.
With what you can't force anybody to recycle, honestly. But if we've got 5,000 customers out there and their charge was to say, you're going to have to make it mandatory. What we're saying is, you guys absorb $1 because you're making money off the recyclables, and the county will pick up the other $1. So the citizen or the customer won't have to pay anything, but they would obviously be encouraged to recycle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Travis?
Okay, look, you got the enterprise fund, which, correct me if I'm wrong, Eugene, it's supposed to be almost revenue neutral. Am I correct?
It's
Should
supposed
not
to
be
make
making-
enough money for closure and post-closure.
Right, well,
Expansion.
exactly, just enough, but every year, we're making a profit off of that because we've got enough in there. Why wouldn't it benefit the citizens to go ahead and pay for the recycling and allow the citizens to say, hey, if you want to recycle, you can. The county should, taking it out of the landfill fund and offer that service, because in a way, it's going to help us in the long run by recycling, because it's going to expand our year of service of our landfill.
So that's my recommendation. That's what we're negotiating right now.
Right, okay. I'm all for that. That's, if they're willing to eat $1, I'm for that, because I don't know how much, maybe Ron would know how much recycling could save in the expansion of our landfill yearly, but it'll help out a lot, am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll affect the amount you take in too, though, so it's a double-edged sword. You have to, you're doing a good thing by promoting recycling and saving the environment, but you're also, the less you take in, you're also affecting your tonnage that you're taking.
Expanding the life of the landfill.
Just be aware of that if you use it before it goes both ways.
Or is that reducing the revenue?
Yes, if you take in less tonnage, you're gonna reduce revenue. But you're encouraging recycling, and you're doing what is the correct thing to do.
Well, we got our own, we do recycling already. Why would you want Waste Management to do it if we do it already?
We do it by haphazard. I think Tink will tell you, be the first one to tell you, we have a trailer that moves around. Our percentage of recycling is almost as no.
It's low, it's very low.
But you gotta look at it another way. With that recycling not going in the landfill, you're buying life of your landfill as well.
You're buying life at the landfill, but you're losing revenue on tonnage.
You're losing tonnage, but you'll pick up additional lifespan.
Well, everybody knows 10, 15 years down the road, it ain't gonna probably be a landfill, hopefully, with plasma arc or something like that, but, why wouldn't we just recycle ourselves?
Well, you're just making it very convenient for the customer. If you have a cart and you take the recycling out, just put it in the cart, put it at the curb, you're gonna have a lot more participation. What we have now, people have to put it in their van, in their truck, carry it.
Right. So now, Waste Management will buy the trash can and they'll pick it up, and it's only gonna cost them $1 to do it.
Yeah, well, it won't cost the homeowner.
No, just Waste Management. That's what they're putting into it, but they'll probably get $2 back from it.
Well, and that's what we're asking. They haven't agreed to anything, and this contract doesn't really address that. That would come back to you guys at a later date.
Okay, so that's your recommendation?
Yeah.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. Ronnie shook his head yes, so that's good.
So you get your signals from him.
Yeah, that's right. Get the signals
Bad
from Ronnie
sign.
now.
It is.
That's dangerous.
Commissioner Banks, you have any questions?
No question.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Some of the surrounding counties that we have that I have checked with and actually investigated what they're doing. Guilford is one of theirs. They're accepting their recyclables and turning it around and getting about $1 million a year back from them as a result of selling the recyclables and that they're doing now. Everybody in this county needs and understands the importance of having curbside recycling. And we've discussed this many times with Waste Management. And I have no doubt whatsoever that we can increase the recyclable system to collect more and by encouraging having curbside recycling, having it at every house. This would increase the capacity as well as all the recyclables that can be go back into the mainstream. And Waste Management will have an opportunity to be able to sell 20 times more than what they're collecting right now. I dare say that the system that we do have, and you are correct in assuming what you said just a minute ago, the system that we have in place right now for collecting recyclable, we have to implement it and put it together. And I've worked together out to how we could do it with Jack Brinkley's help back there. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, I dare say that there's probably 10% of the people in the county who use it or less. And if we can get the other 90% involved in this, within Mr. Manager, we can have a situation where we can actually make some money. And at this time, I think it would be something I'd like to ask Waste Management, exactly where do they think we'd have to go with this and at what point in time, and where would we reach a point to where they would make enough money to where the people in our county would have to pay anything to have the curbside recycling in our county, and at what point if that's possible. So if you don't mind, Teresa, I'd like to get you to come up here and answer that question.
No trouble now.
Commissioner Callum, Steve Kyle with Waste Management. You were asking if there was ever a point that we could get to where...
With the volume of recyclables that you'll be receiving big enough from the county. Now we're getting very little, you know that.
Right.
It's not exactly paying a great deal of money. But if it was curbside recycling and everyone in every household participated, the volume would be out of sight.
I really couldn't tell you how many people that would take, sir, because we haven't reached that point really with anyone, even the city of Winston-Salem and 74,000 houses. The amount of fuel that it takes for the trucks to burn, taking it to the MRF, the labor cost and all of that, and the truck expense, cart expense, that does add up to be quite a bit. So to say at a certain point that you can get to where there would be no cost, I really don't have a number for you.
Well, tell me this, if you say 74,000 people in Winston, you have reached that point. In Greensboro, then how I don't understand how they're able to do it, because I talked to their people about what they were doing and how they're breaking it down, and they're doing basically the same thing, but they're selling their recycling. The people that are collecting it are actually paying the city back.
That's correct.
Money. Okay, now, at some point, somewhere or another, they're doing it. It doesn't make realistic sense. If you're collecting all the some recyclables out of this county, it seems to me that it's some way it could be right now business-wise to where you could make enough profit to where you could put this back to the citizens of our county and provide free recycling for the citizens of this county.
Well, and I'm talking from a collection standpoint now, and I apologize because I do not handle the MRF. Now, our MRF does pay a rebate back to the city of Winston-Salem. How much that is, I truly do not know, because that is handled through another side of Waste Management. So, I'm talking from the collection side. I don't know as far as to compare what they're getting back in rebate and what we're charging them per month, where that number would be. To answer your question as to what point would we get to where it would be a zero cost factor, I really don't know that number.
Well, I don't know it either, but at some point or another, would you assume that at some point or another in the county, you would reach a point to where you would be able to collect this? And I know that's an assumption on your part.
It's an assumption, but
if you did reach that, would you not be willing to come back to the county and tell our manager? And let
that would be
know?
something that, from a hauling side, we would have to talk to the MRF side, the post-collection side, because we operate as two separate entities in that manner. But I'm sure that, yes, sir, as far as waste management goes, we would come back and have those discussions.
Thank you. Now, I'm just looking at a point where I know you're gonna make some money, and I know for a fact it can be done. And I have absolutely convinced that we can come back and afford this to the consumers in our county and the citizens at a zero rate, to where you could make money, we could have a collection system, the recyclables and things would be there, and it would reduce the impact on our landfill, as you alluded to. So I think that could be done at some point in the future if you'll work with us.
Sure, be glad to.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Without any further questions or discussion, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the first reading to consider granting a 3-year extension to solid waste franchise granted to Waste Management of the Carolinas.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, a motion for approval by Commissioner Plant. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bass. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. First reading so carried. And as far as the new business goes, the item we added this afternoon, County Manager, How do we work this?
It's a request from Ricky Graves. He's our director of Head Start. Basically, what they're doing is they're converting 2 classrooms into 1, and they need to have your approval to do so. Is that correct, Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any questions for Mr. Graves?
Coming out of his,
The money's taken care of. It's just before they do it, they need to have your approval of 2 to 1.
Oh, okay. Just a formality.
I think it's still two classrooms is one location.
Yes, sir. And we would be moving to one location, based upon the fact that
That a man on his feet, salt on his feet.
Good evening. We would be trying to relocate 2 of the locations to one location. And that would bring us in kind because it would be with the school system. We already have 9 locations with the school system, thus saving us money for our budget.
Okay, great.
Chairman, I'll make a motion for approval.
All right, there's a motion for approval. You go ahead and consolidate those 2 classrooms into 1. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Bass. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All approve likewise. Good job. Good job you're doing, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for what you're doing. And this time, I want to remind everybody to make sure it's on the record for those, especially for all our media folks. It's August 27th. The Board of Commissioners meeting will be on the road again at Reedville City Hall at 6:30. That's on August 27th, Reedville City Hall. So at this time, County Attorney, is there any reason why we should go into closed session?
Yes.
Read it off. Read off which one we got to go on.
Need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is approved closed session minutes. Consult with the attorney, consider location or expansion of industries, instruct negotiating agents, and discuss personnel.
Okay, this time I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session, and thank everybody for being here tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I got a motion made by Commissioner Travis. Do I have a second?